Prepare yourself.
Oh, this is the Ninja Troll radio show.
All right, hello again and welcome to the Ninja Troll Digicast. I am Tim Dixon, Timmy D, here as your host again this week. Chuck Charles and Laura cannot be with us, so joining me again is Professor Pixel, Mike Worth.
Hey!
and also this week, the voice of the Ninja Troll.
Oh wow!
Chris, yeah, you're the guy who does the bump in voice for us. Chris Carpenter is joining us as well.
Hello, everyone.
Yay! It's kind of nuts to meet Chris after listening to the show.
Yeah, you hear
for so
the voice.
long.
Yeah,
You're like,
he's the guy.
Digicast.
He's the guy that always says we really do love each other.
Well, we really do,
which is a lie, but
that's true.
Okay. Anyway, but this week we're going to talk about HeroesCon coming up this weekend. We got a lot of big plans for HeroesCon at the Ninja Troll table. We've got a lot of movie and TV news to talk about. Chris here is part of the reason he's here this week is we talked last week about some of the information coming out about the X-Files. He's a huge X-Files fan from way back.
From 1993 or 4,
the beginning, yeah. So he's here. We're going to talk about some of the X-Files stuff that's coming out. We're going to talk about, in the comic book news, we're going to talk about Convergence. Mike has finished reading. Even though I spoiled it last week, he continued to read Convergence.
I did,
so
reluctantly.
And he says he has some questions for me. So we're going to talk about Convergence, and we're going to talk about some other stuff, some other news that's come out. And this week we're actually going to get to our video game discussion. So we're going to talk about some things that came out of E3 that is this past weekend, or is it going on now?
I think it's still going on. But yeah, most of what went down happened this weekend.
Okay,
with the big events.
So we're going to talk about some news that's come out of E3, which is usually that's for comic book related things. San Diego Comic-Con is where all the big news comes out of. For video games, it's E3. That's where you get all the new info, the new games, the Fallout, the new Fallout game. Which anytime I say Fallout, I think Fallout Boy, which is a whole different thing.
That's right, Fallout 4. You were cheesing before on Battlefront.
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront. We're going to talk about that because a friend of mine posted the game trailer, actual game footage trailer, and I got to watch it. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, again, like we said, coming up this weekend, we've got the HeroesCon. We're going to be at table AA 404. Mm-hmm. That is our table number. When you come in, of course, when you come in, you immediately run into the vendors, the people trying to sell you stuff. That's who's first inside the door. But if you make the way through the gauntlet of them, we'll be on the left side of the floor. We're going to have an interactive display on our table that you definitely want to come and check out. It's going to be really cool. We're going to make you a superhero.
Oh yeah.
So and also Mike will be there Friday, and we'll be doing some live drawing demonstrations. We're going to have a TV there. We can plug our computer in and do some live drawing. We might even do some lessons. We'll get some people there and have a class.
That'd be fun. But yeah, we're going to show off some of our skills, and I think it's going to be great. Timmy, tell them in the face, the hero face eraser maker.
Yes.
9,000. There's something special in there, right? So if you come by at the right time and you are one of the wonderfully randomly chosen heroes, what happens?
You will win a prize when you come by our table. Like I said, we're going to make you a superhero, and it's going to be a randomized thing as to what superhero you will be. And if you are randomly chosen to be Nico, which is our Ninja Troll mascot, if he pops up, then you win a prize. The gong will go off, and the ninja gong will go off, and you're going to win a prize. So, and even if you're not Nico, I think the big thing, the fun is going to be getting people to guess and see if they know who the person is when the mask comes up, if they know, because a lot of times if just the mask comes up and you don't see the rest of the illustration, it may be a little harder to tell who it is.
That's true.
Because if it's just
the face,
if it's just the little domino mask, it might be a little harder to figure out who it is. So I think that's going to be a lot of the fun is, if it pops up and you try to figure out what it is, because there's a couple we made from some old school characters, so it'll be fun to see if people still recognize them and can name them. And of course we're going to have stickers galore there at the table. All the info about the Ninja Troll Digicast, which if you're listening to this, you already know the info about the Digicast. But for people who don't know, who aren't initiated, we'll have info for them, and so you can come by and get your some new Ninja Troll stickers and talk to us and become a superhero at table AA 404. It's in the Artist Alley section, and I'm so excited for this. I haven't been. Chuck and I used to go to HeroesCon back in the 90s, but I think probably the last one we went to. Maybe 94, 95. So it's been 20 years since we've been to a con.
Sorry,
Why are you laughing?
I just got this vision of you, Timmy, with like a full head of hair, and Chuck looking all like scrawny and nerdy, and you're like, "Come on, guys, let's go."
Dude, right? It was. I had
his hair.
Oh yeah, my hair was legendary.
It was its own person.
It was.
It was.
And I had this. I had this cheap green hat that I don't even know where I got it, but I started getting little push pins and little special pins wherever I could get them. They would give them free out.
Well, like at the Olympics and Disney World kind of pins?
No, they was all comic related pins. And I would put them on that hat, and it got to where the hat was so heavy I couldn't even wear it anymore because there were so many pins on it. But that was my con hat. I would take that with me, and I would get more pins on it each time I went.
This is in the years before cosplay, right? So
yes, that's the thing. Another thing, the last time we were at the con, cosplay wasn't even a thing. You didn't see people in costume. No. So nobody came in costume. So that's one of the really cool things that I like now is to see people like Free Comic Book Day a couple like last month. There was a guy who changed clothes 3 times
in complicated costumes.
Yes, he was 4 different characters just to be there for Free Comic Book Day.
There are costume change calls now at Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, and this guy he was when I saw him he was Nick Fury.
Cool.
And I heard him talking about that he had showed up. I forget what character it was, but he had showed up as one character, and then had changed into another one, and now he had just changed again into the Nick Fury outfit. And this was an elaborate. It wasn't like just a t-shirt and a trench coat.
Yeah.
This was the SHIELD uniform.
Wow.
The whole deal, the SHIELD uniform with the patches and the gun on his side and the whole 9 yards. So this guy was going all out. And like I said, it was just it's Free Comic Book Day.
Was he a Hasselhoff or a Sam Jackson?
Well, he was a white guy.
Okay.
So he was
more Hasselhoff. Okay.
Yeah, he was a bald white guy. So it was kind of he was the white of the Hasselhoff, but with the Samuel L. Jackson baldness.
Okay.
So
that's a cool combo.
Yeah. So I mean, it was, and yeah, people do that. I mean, people specifically, plan these things to they plan out their costumes for a whole year.
Oh yeah.
Before these different cons, I don't even want to think about how San Diego Comic-Con. It's got to be just.
Well, I mean,
that's
who Adam Savage is, the Mythbuster guy.
Yeah,
he is. I mean, he's built models for Star Wars movies. I mean, so you go to his YouTube channel called Tested, and you can see all of the crazy.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, it's to the point to where he should put cooling tubes in them because they're so thick and complicated.
Well,
and you know,
there's a group called the 501st.
No, they're serious.
Oh, the Stormtrooper guys. Yes,
we have a friend that's in the 501st.
Oh wow, who?
Marcus.
Marcus is in the 501st.
Marcus
wow.
is a new TIE fighter or TIE pilot.
Oh, cool.
In the 501st.
So it's the all black sort of stormtrooper.
And he just did last weekend. It was Star Wars Day at the Texas Roadhouse. So they did that, and that whole thing is like if they're at a con, they have no problem taking their helmets off because everybody knows everybody's there in costume and it's the whole deal. But stuff like that where there's kids who don't really realize that, they look at it as, oh, that's Star Wars. So they don't realize it's just a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
So for events like that, they don't take their helmets off at all.
He showed us when you guys interviewed him with Chuck, right? He was a Tusken Raider, right?
Yeah.
He was a sand person. And he had all those wraps
Yes.
and cloth and everything in this heavy helmet that he customized. And he had basically 4 computer fans that were battery powered.
Yeah.
That was pulling the heat out.
That was Tom Garner, who we interviewed for the Ninja Troll.
Right. Sorry.
But because Tom's been doing this long enough, he knows that. Marcus, that was the first time he had been
lost
at a
10
long.
pounds.
Yeah,
I died in that thing.
Yeah, he came over to our table. We went to go eat, and he went over to the table and he said, "I'm experiencing a new kind of heat. This is just.
I mean, it's got
ridiculous.
to feel like you're just wrapped in quilts. I mean,
because
the thickness of that.
Not even considering the helmet is just on you, it's not even like a football helmet that has an open front.
Yeah.
This is completely encasing your head, and you're wearing what is a equivalent of like a wool suit as the uniform. It's thick. It's not goodness. And then you've got on motorcycle boots. It's not
gloves, right? If I'm thinking of
he's
a
got
real
the
TIE
gloves.
fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? The hoses that sort of come from the oxygen.
So basically, these are the guys you just see kind of in shadow with the black glossy helmet and
right.
The ones that aren't Darth Vader. The ones,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. They're always twisting something. I'm like,
yeah,
there's a future.
right in the
Where's
center.
the knob
they're
for?
twisting.
It's like
that should be voice control.
Yeah.
You think,
whatever it is.
You think with the Empire's technology, they should have that?
That's where the budget ran out.
Yeah, that's true. It takes money to build a big Death Star. Okay,
that's right.
Tim? I mean, really.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, he's because he's just now getting into this. He's he's realizing it. There's actually another TIE pilot that is part of his group that had the chest box. He's put fans in there.
Smart.
So they blow up the little tubes that connect the chest box to the mask or the helmet.
So he gets a breeze coming through.
He gets the breeze coming out onto his face, but it's sucking in air on the chest box, so it cools this down too.
See, I never thought about
that's smart.
I never thought about ducted air vent and fans because it's a lot less complicated than doing a water suit with because I think NASCAR guys do that, don't they?
Probably, yeah.
So
because the heat they have to go through is just crazy.
When they were taking phone video of Savage, and he's kind of a really pale guy anyway with red hair. When he took that, and I forgot what the costume was, but it was big, thick. I think it might have been the guy in Alien with the face hugger on his helmet. It might have been that.
Oh yeah.
And
how do you see?
He could barely see, and no one knew who it was because you can't really see his face because you got the big crab on your face.
Yeah, people do that a lot at Comic-Con.
But when he took that thing off, he looked like he had been wrung out like a dish rag.
Yeah,
I mean, he was done.
Yeah. People do that a lot at Comic-Con. They will go. Daniel Radcliffe went with, I think it was like a Spider-Man mask.
Oh, that's cool.
He walked around the floor.
Yeah,
nobody knew who he was.
They just thought he was some guy.
Bryan Cranston walked around the floor of Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, with a Walter White mask on. And nobody knew it was him.
Funny.
It was hilarious. And he actually was at a panel and whooped the mask off. And the place went nuts.
Oh, man. People were like, he bumped into me.
Yeah. So, stuff like that happens. That's why, San Diego Comic-Con is on my bucket list. That's something I want to do. I mean, it's got to be just packed wall-to-wall people.
I mean,
that's amazing.
It's got to be a logistic nightmare to put that stuff together.
Yeah.
But
would it be bad if I admit that I would just want to go for the Wonder Woman people? because especially the ones that look like Linda Carter, because that's
old school.
That's old school. When I was 12 years old, man, that was my crush.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
And she's still a very good looking woman.
Absolutely.
So.
She advertises contact lenses now or something.
Yeah. But there was maybe like 5-6 years ago there was a movie, I think it was called Sky High, where it was like a high school for kids with powers.
Oh, okay.
And she was the principal,
Nice.
which was pretty funny. And she, like I said, she's still good looking lady. So,
Well, there's a Wonder Woman 77 comic book, sort of riding off the success of Batman 66.
Yeah.
It's all illustrated as Linda Carter.
Oh,
all
wow.
the villains and
That's
everything.
cool.
all the I still remember when I was a kid. I don't remember what the gist of the episode was, but it was, other than the fact there was robots that would melt, and me as like an 8-year-old kid, that freaked me out to the point where I couldn't look at the TV. I was just like,
It was hide behind the couch time, right?
yeah, I'm out of here. Screw this. I mean, because it was like somebody would start, like it looked like a human, and then all of a sudden they would start, like their voice would start hitching, and then a guy fell face forward on a desk, and he started melting. I was like, ah!
My hide behind the couch, this is off a tangent, but my hide behind the couch moment, because I'm about 5 years older than you, was 1972-ish when the $6 Million Man had its second episode, and John Saxon was a Westworld-style robot. And Steve Austin has to fight him at the end of the episode, and it's his best friend, and he's wondering what's wrong with his best friend. Well, his best friend's actually been replaced by this robot.
Yeah.
I
hate when that happens.
He knocks his faceplate off, and it looks like the insides of a television, and that just scared the living out of me. And then then I'll never forget this. The sound of the slowing down tape kind of sound effect. And he's hit, and see, this is a robot, so he's strong everywhere. It's not just his right arm. So you're also worried that he's going to hurt Steve Austin.
Well,
because he's only bionic on his right arm, and that
and his leg.
Yes, and also
but if he only had one bionic leg, wouldn't he just go in circles?
Probably, and also the bionics would rip themselves out of his anyway. But that's for another time. Oh, the Star Trek episode with the glowing eyes. With his friend, the second episode where no man has gone before. And it fades to black, and the glowing eyes pierce through the black.
Yeah, that was
which
pretty
that
cool,
was a neat trick. That was probably 5 when I saw that, and I was, I almost didn't become a Star Trek fan because of that, because it was just too scary.
And then you get older and you watch like a documentary and you realize they were in so much pain from those contact lenses.
Those scleria contacts. I think that's how you pronounce that. It's the entire eye is covered, in a contact.
Oh, and the whole thing was during the whole episode they were given this godlike power. So he was always looking down his nose. The reason he did that,
the little
because
pinholes,
that's the only place he could see. So he would look like this, and it looked like he was. Yeah, he's better than you. He's not going to even look at you.
He has his nose in the air. Yes.
Yeah. But it just worked. That was the only place he could see. So that's the only way he could see out of it. So, but yeah, that's a nice little trip down memory lane.
Oh, absolutely.
What scared the crap out of us when we were kids.
Yeah. And then
what scared the crap out of you, Mike?
There was the Halloween episode of Knight Rider.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There was this like flying thing. Like I remember it was like a ghostly thing that was in a corner of a room. I remember it was like, sorry, you guys just took me there.
You blocked it out.
I went, wow. Yeah, I remember it freaked me out. Yeah, I could watch Jason and Freddy and Michael Myers all day, but like something, I don't know, something about Knight Rider.
Yeah, I mean, I
was vulnerable.
And a lot of times when you're a kid, it's the intimacy of television. It's in your room. It's in your house. Yeah. And maybe you're watching it by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Or with a sibling who wants to pick on you and make it even scarier, which might have been my circumstance with my sister. I don't,
Just saying.
Just saying, yeah. But no, that I think has a lot to do with it too, because you're at home and it's $6 Million Man. All of a sudden, and this robot's gonna hurt him, and I'm like, and it was just wrong. Just his face coming off in the insides of
not right. Yeah.
Insides of a television.
Steve Austin, come on.
Yeah. But now looking at
A
it,
man barely alive.
I look at it now, and it's a complete rip-off of Westworld.
Oh, yeah.
Because he
Yul
even kind
Brynner,
of looked like Yul Brynner.
Yeah,
'Cause
and-
John Saxon kind of resembled him.
He does, yeah. And that's the thing. That's one of the things that you watch the older shows like that.
Yeah.
Some of them hold up. Some of them do not.
Some of them do not.
$6
Correct.
Million Man does not.
Well, no. For me, it does because, and I was one
But
of
if
the.
it's more of a nostalgia
Well,
thing.
yeah, I was one of the dummies who actually bought the Time Life the entire
Like the
series
whole
when it
series,
finally
yeah.
came out on DVD. And that was one of the holdouts. And I heard the original '60s Batman is now finally out on
It
DVD.
is, yes. Yeah.
But $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman were some of the holdouts too, probably going back 5 years. And then about 5 years ago, they finally come out. At first, Time Life had the exclusive distribution for a year, and I took some overtime money and bought it. And it's in a cool box, and it's and I watched all of them over the course of about 6 months. When there's nothing on, okay, I'll watch another 6 Million Dollar Man. But the Bigfoot episodes are hilarious.
With Andre.
They are so funny. I mean, when I was a kid, that was like WrestleMania. But now looking at it, it is so ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
And I'm surprised that Hollywood has not mined $6 Million Man in a remake. They've tried.
They're working on it.
Yeah.
They are working on it. Is it serious?
The last
going to
I
actually happen?
Yeah, the last I heard, Mark Wahlberg was attached to it.
Okay.
Wow.
Because I want them to do it kind of like the remake of RoboCop. I didn't have the problem a lot of people had with the new RoboCop because to me it had more of a cyborg, the novel Cyborg. It had almost that feeling to where this poor guy's lost his humanity and he's still
and that's
alive.
The thing.
He didn't ask to be reanimated.
Yeah, $6 Million Man, the TV show was very different than Cyborg, the book it was based on.
Which the pilot movie is closer. If you watch the pilot movie.
Yeah, but the book it's almost kind of depressing because he is like he's sunk in depression. He didn't want to be brought back. He doesn't feel like a man anymore. He hates Oscar because he blames him for all this stuff. And basically for say the first third of the book, he's just begging them to kill him.
Yeah.
And so, it's
that's deep stuff.
Yeah, it's a whole different feel.
The same story as
$6
Cyborg,
Million Man.
The Cyborg DC character, right? Wasn't
No,
he in
no.
an accident and then
Well, kind of, yeah.
right? He had to have stuff.
Yeah, his dad
is a scientist. And
his dad did that to save him. So yeah, it's kind of the same storyline there. But yeah, the book that $6 Million Man is based on is a whole lot less cheery than the show.
Now, does he eventually in the book become a government agent and kind of earning?
Well, he didn't have a choice. That was the thing.
Because
it was like, hey, okay,
we've
done
now.
this stuff for you, and you're part government property. And that's another thing that pissed him off. It was like, okay, now.
Well, my health care doesn't cover this.
Yeah,
Hold up a second, guys. I mean, this is.
I didn't ask for this, but yet now you're saying I owe you.
Yeah.
How's that work?
Well, we can just take the legs and the arm back, and
then you won't be able to go no.
So is there talk of a $6 Million Man remake movie?
Yes.
Or a reboot
Yeah,
of some
that-
sort?
yeah.
Or?
Yeah,
And
it
over the years, there's been a bunch of them that got talked about. Some comedic versions, like doing kind of doing a Austin Powers version that would be comedy, as opposed to exactly, as opposed to a serious one. And hopefully they'll do a serious take on it, which would be
like I said,
more like that RoboCop reboot.
The last I heard, Mark Wahlberg was attached to it.
I could see him. I mean,
totally.
I'd buy that.
Yeah. So that would. Let's see. Okay, I'm looking to see if I can find. Find something because the last I heard about it was several months ago.
Do you know the title? The working is it 6 million?
No, I think it was going to be. It was going to be.
6 billion.
Changed. It was going to be changed to reflect
For
that.
inflation?
Yeah.
It's the
The $1.2 billion man.
Because 6 million might get you a couple of knee replacements. I mean,
maybe.
Seriously.
I'm not finding it on the. Let me put in reboot and see.
The €2 billion man.
Which, I mean, it goes back to the Austin Powers joke where he's like,
$1 million.
$1 million. Yeah, okay.
Like, sure, done.
Yeah, no problem.
Sure, yeah, it's already transferred.
Okay. The last this was in November. Mark Wahlberg will star in $6 billion Man.
As Steve Austin.
Steve Austin,
Wow.
Directed by Peter Berg.
Okay.
So that's not too bad.
Cool.
Not too shabby in them.
Say again, when did they say the
that article was in November, but I don't. It didn't say.
And it's talking about plans, or are they shooting?
Is it at least attached to it? So,
So still in the works, maybe.
Okay, well, this one is from the Hollywood Reporter. If the page will load,
Is there an IMDb page on it yet?
probably. Yeah, there's an IMDb page.
Well, that's true.
There's an IMDb page for something I thought of.
The original Buffy movie people tried to make a Buffy movie that had nothing to do with Joss Whedon, and that was 5 years ago, and it's probably still got a page.
Oh yeah, it's still there.
It's not going to happen. Just like Glenn Larson wanted to make a Battlestar Galactica,
Hey, 1980.
Well, yeah, this was because of
the only one that watched
success of the Ron Moore series, and it was supposed to be obviously not connected to Ron Moore.
Yeah.
And who wants to see that now? I mean, once everyone's now a fan of the Ron Moore
Me.
thing, yeah.
I
don't want to see the silent. No,
dude, I
by
love
your
that.
command, guys. No, I'm sorry.
I want one of those chairs that
Well, of
Baltar had
course.
with the big high arms.
That'd be a great
wanted that.
TV chair.
Yeah, I want something.
I did like Lucifer. Was he in the latter part of the series?
Yes.
He
he was the one that.
He replaced Baltar, didn't he? Kind of, right?
Or no, he answered. Baltar answered to Lucifer, I think.
Okay, and Lucifer had
he was like a weird
had
weird
the
shaped
disco
head.
lights in the hair and the clear head.
He was a
thing,
Cylon, but
did you ever watch the original Battlestar Galactica?
A little bit. I went back to it after watching the later series, the sci-fi series, just because it had so many references. Like I think even in some of the early episodes, they show Adama's ship, and it's the original fighter pilots, right? The fighter planes, and then
the Vipers,
the Vipers,
the Vipers, right?
And
It's
that's
like
the
a
only
Mark
ones that
V,
would work,
and they have the Pharaoh helmet and stuff, and all that grooviness.
Okay, it's finally loaded. Sorry. Mark Wahlberg is attached to star, and Peter Berg attached to direct, and they just signed on a new writer. This story is April 28th, so it's still obviously going on.
2015.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Damien
Linda.
Zifron.
Oh.
Zifron is, I guess he's been tabbed to pen the screenplay. There's no date as far as when it might come out. But with that, I mean,
but right now it's still in development, I guess.
Yes, obviously, because the screenplay's not even written. So,
yeah.
But it is it is in the plans.
Yeah.
And I think with Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg, I mean,
and this is going to sound maybe a little strange, but if The Martian is really successful, movies with astronaut characters might just get a boost at that point, because I think The Martian is going to be huge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we talked about that last week. That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to because the book was great. It was one of those that I read a lot, so to make an impression on me, I feel like it takes a good bit more. And this was one of those that like you want to keep reading, you keep reading, it's 2:00 in the morning. I got to go to work in the morning. So let's put this down.
I have to pay bills.
Yeah. So it's one of those that you get sucked into and you don't want to put down. So I was already excited for the movie. Then I see the trailer and it looks great. So.
Yeah. And from word one, sentence one, on page one, that book sucks you in.
Oh, yeah.
And the audiobook, I don't know if either one of you guys are into audiobooks, but the audiobook is awesome because it's like a radio play. I mean, it really and truly is.
Who read it?
I'm not sure. I don't remember the actor's name. I could look it up real quick on here.
Yeah.
Because I still have it in my Audible, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, and we talked about it last week, that the thing that I really enjoyed about it was he didn't take any shortcuts. He came up with real science that we have right now and how he would deal with it.
Oh yeah, and the trailer looks like Andy Weir, narrated by R.C. Bray. I'm not sure who that is. I don't know. But it sounds good.
Yeah.
And I would play a little bit, but I don't want to get this dinged for copyright violation.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Cost me money. But okay, we need to take a little break here, and after this, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about our movie and TV news, which we actually kind of dipped into a little bit there. But we'll be back in just a minute.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The decline of Western civilization.
I bet you could slingshot a herd from Superman and it would take out a city block.
Why are we talking about Superman's poop?
Because that's what we do.
And this whole conversation just nosedived.
Don't worry. We're all trained media professionals. This is the Ninja Troll Digicast.
All right, we're back now. We're going to take a look at our movie and TV news coming out this week. First thing, this is it's kind of weird. I mean, you can chalk it up to a rumor, possibly, but according to Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo is going to be in Captain America: Civil War.
Because the last I heard, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
and
it was always like, no, he's not going to be in this movie.
But Mark Ruffalo says that Robert Downey Jr. told him he was going to be in it. And it is, I mean, it's Robert Downey Jr.
Well, Robert Downey Jr. is kind of like the, leader of the Rat Pack as far as
he's exactly. He's the straw that stirs the drink a lot of times in Marvel movies. So if he wants something, but I think it'd be better because at the end of Age of Ultron, Hulk just kind of goes away.
Yes.
Maybe we don't see him for a little bit. He comes back at a certain point in Infinity War.
I mean, as some other movie people on the internet that I follow have said, this is almost starting to feel like Avengers 2.5.
Yeah.
Which is not.
It's packed with people.
Because, I mean, if you're a Captain America fan, if one out there is a fan of Captain America specifically.
And if you're not, you're a communist.
Well, true. And, you see that your sequel to one of the best movies, which is The Winter Soldier, is kind of getting a little crowded with extra people. Maybe I don't want to see, and that's something maybe they ought to think about, but I don't know. I mean, I think a Marvel movie with characters in it doing their thing, regardless, is going to be fine. But it's almost the name Captain America Civil War is not big enough to fit everybody's going to be in this movie, unless you consider the fact that with a war you got to have people fighting.
Well, and that's the thing. If you've read the actual Civil War story,
I haven't.
It's
massive.
It's massive. It encapsulates everybody because that's the whole crux of it is it's a split between Iron Man and Captain America. Yeah. Iron Man sides with the government, who says, "Hey, all you people that have powers have to register."
Yes.
And he says he agrees with that, and he says that they need to register. And Cap goes, "Whoa, wait a minute,
hold up a second.
We're not." And that's we discussed that last week.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows who Captain America is. So he's not doing this to protect himself because people know who he is. He's Captain Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And he became Captain America.
And everyone also knows who Tony Stark is. And
exactly.
Iron Man,
so it's not they're saying their sides don't really apply to them, but they're siding with that point. So and the thing of, thankfully they've finally done the deal with Sony to get Spider-Man because he was a huge part.
That was my next question. Is Spider-Man confirmed for this movie?
No,
but all
he
but
will be.
all
yeah.
but okay.
He'll have to, because in the comic book, he was such a linchpin of that story.
Yeah.
He was one that came up and said, okay, I'm going to be an example to the superhero community. And on live TV, he pulled his mask off and said, my name is Peter Parker.
Oh, wow.
That was a huge deal. And if you don't have that,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do it with another character, but it doesn't hold the same weight.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man is
Now, my thing,
huge superhero.
They should, and I know that those movies weren't the best, and I didn't love them, but they should have Garfield play. But don't change the
cat?
No. Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, yeah.
Yes.
Cat,
he loves lasagna. And he's very fat. No.
Shut up, Odie.
But they should have Andrew Garfield.
I did like his performance.
Yeah, because he is the guy. I mean, the movies, it's not his fault. I'll say this much.
Yeah.
He was not the problem with the two Spider-Man movies that weren't that great. It wasn't him. He wasn't the problem. If Tobey Maguire had been in those, they'd still been the same kind of weird.
Yeah, and I think the first one wasn't
yeah.
that bad. The second one had issues.
Yeah.
But the first one wasn't that bad. It was way too many coincidences. Everybody had a personal connection with Peter Parker.
Yes.
And it got to where it was a preponderance of coincidence.
And Electra, right? That was the character.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That
was in the second one.
The second one. That was horrible. Just the entire aura. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and then you have the dubstep music going off as he's doing
the power of dubstep.
Yes.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, the wub wub. Yes. I don't know. I mean, I was not.
It's not the sound of electricity.
Of course, yeah.
The dance.
EDM
the dance of electricity.
And the electronic
Well,
dance music.
just think if it had been earlier, it would have been speed metal probably.
True, yeah.
Put
Oh,
there.
right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Every era. One thing I find interesting with Civil War is, I think, if Spider-Man's not in it, that's how Cap and Iron Man sort of resolve, right? Is like Spider-Man sort of goes from one side to the other. But like, it's interesting because Tony Stark is the one who says, let's all be out there, when he is the one who has the most to hide. When Cap has really nothing to hide, right? I mean, he probably has some dark secrets over the years, but like nothing that would
Not
be
really. He's
nothing
squeaky
like Tony.
clean, basically. Yeah. I mean, Tony's got so much crap in his closet, but everybody knoes it. He's basically
Tabloid fodder. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't hold any consequence for him, and I think that's part of what the issue is. That Cap is looking at him and saying, okay, you want everybody else to do this.
And not thinking of the 13-year-old kid or the 19-year-old kid who just figured out they got powers and they're scared and they don't know what it means, and
or
which is a metaphor for a lot of things.
Yeah. Or the wife or mother or Aunt May of a superhero that are now immediately in danger.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the villains aren't going to register.
No,
because they're
not.
villains.
Yeah.
They don't do what you want them to.
Yeah.
So, Peter Parker comes out and says, hey, my name's Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man. And Green Goblin goes, all righty then.
Yeah.
I know where his aunt lives.
Well, I mean, I just thought of another. I mean, it's like
I'm going to Google him.
There's metaphors of having communicable diseases. There's gun control meta. I mean, there's all sorts of things that they're tapping with this.
World War II Nazi.
Yeah.
They registered all the Jews.
Yeah.
So
it just makes it easier. Well, see, that's the thing. I just kind of wish, because obviously the X-Men movies have done it with the Cure plot.
Yeah.
It's very similar to this. And that wasn't part of Civil War, though, in the comics. That was its own thing.
They were,
right?
I mean, the X-Men were part of the Civil War,
okay.
but they can't be in the movie.
Yeah, they can't be in the movie. Yeah. And there is no such thing as Magneto in the Marvel movies.
No, they're not mutants.
They're not mutants.
Yeah, the twins are not mutants.
They're augmented. We have powered people in
and
play.
we don't know who their father is, because the twins' father is Magneto.
Yeah,
but we can't talk about him.
maybe eventually when this all gets worked out. But yeah,
I don't think Fox is letting go of the X-Men.
No,
they've got a death grip on them.
But they'll see their actors start to fade because I think, right, like Hugh Jackman's refusing to do more Wolverine. I think he's their most notable, maybe besides like Halle Berry, right, as like a character.
Yeah.
Star power wise. But sorry, real quick with the Civil War, is Cap going to die?
That's
Right?
a good question because he was assassinated.
Yeah.
On
I think
the steps of the.
I think yes, because why
got
have
Falcon.
Why have a guy who has the screen presence of the Winter Soldier actor? And I thought that when I first saw Bucky in the first one, in the first Avenger,
signed to 6 more films.
correct. And I thought, hey, this guy, because I didn't know anything about Captain. I totally forgot the origin story.
Yeah.
I'm watching the movie and I'm going, okay, that soldier, he's the hero. He's the one, because he just saved his.
Because he come in with his hat all kicked to the side.
He's
and
all
he said,
cool and swagger,
punches the guy, and I'm going to kick your ass.
And then he looks like something out of a heavy metal video in the second movie.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay,
he didn't have
this
the power
guy
of
with
dubstep, though.
No. They cast this guy, but he could cut the metal of a van.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, but they cast it deep bench. I mean, he's obviously not just some.
Well, okay, in the comics.
So I think he's going to wind up becoming Captain America.
In the comics, Bucky becomes Captain America.
Yeah.
And then later, currently, Falcon is Captain America.
Oh, okay. So it's a changing mantle.
So you have, well, not really. It's happened before.
Yeah.
And he's gone back to Steve Rogers.
Oh.
Bucky took over as Cap, and then Cap became Nomad. And there was at some point there was another Bucky, kind of like Robin. They put in another guy as Bucky.
I thought Bucky's a person, not a mantle.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of weird.
Okay.
So yeah, Cap was created in 1941,
and Bucky was like a Robin-aged kid back then, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, he was his.
Right, wasn't his friend?
He was his kid
right?
sidekick.
Like
exactly.
Kid, yeah.
Yeah. But having a kid in the middle of a war might have been a little bit of a stretch in the movie.
Correct.
So they went with his buddy, and I like the way they did it in the movie because he was the guy that stood up for him.
Yeah.
He protected him. And then he goes and saves him. And the whole scene where he finds him and he stands up and he's not taller than him anymore.
Yeah.
He kind of was like,
what happened to you?
What happened to you?
Army rashes.
Joined the army.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
Join the army.
Be all you can be, man.
Do you guys remember U.S. Agent? He was like a sort of a knockoff Cap. John Walker.
John Walker, yeah. He was he had gotten a version of
what
the
book
serum.
What publishing did that?
That was in the Cap series.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, he had his own series at time. But he got a version of the serum because they tried to remake that serum later. Yeah. But he was off in the head. He actually ended up, I think he ended up going psychotic.
The only reason I thought of him is because he's in Civil War in the comic book.
Is he?
Yeah. It's because I remember him popping in because there was like sort of this vacuum of no Captain America.
Yeah.
So it says, let's see. So, I guess there was a one-shot. U.S. agent must choose between the government to which he has always remained loyal or the man whose legend he attempted to uphold. So he's stuck between what Cap thinks and then what the government thinks because I think it was at odds.
He became Cap for a while. And then when Steve Rogers came back, he became U.S. agent.
Right.
And then in Civil War, when Steve Rogers gets shot, Bucky takes over, and then later Bucky got killed. And then by that point, Steve Rogers is not dead anymore. I don't know how they brought him back, but it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It happens all the time in comics that guys die and then come back. But by that time he was back, but he didn't want to take Captain America back from Bucky. So then when Bucky died, he became Captain America again. Then he got old, and so Falcon took over being Captain America. And so
there was I think a U.S. agent Nomad crossover for a while.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. And that was maybe that was yes, I do remember that. I remember the cover. I can see the cover in my head.
He wore those big glasses, and he had like a ponytail and a
trench coat.
And had guns and all sorts of groovy things. Yeah,
it was like a limited series.
What time period was U.S. Agent really? Was that in the 40s or was that much
No,
later?
it was
86.
probably like
Says when he came out.
Yeah. He's like in the 80s when they were
They were trying to make
playing
him a Punisher kind of character, or was he?
U.S. Agent actually was just basically a straight rip off of Captain America.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Nomad was almost kind of a
okay.
Punisher deal. Yeah, it was like
you
a
go.
different version of his costume
Okay.
I don't know if his shield was vibranium. I think he
No,
was
I
like
don't
a
think it was.
he was like a
Oh,
low rent.
yeah, it was like a low rent cap. Yeah,
can I have a
poor man's
sidebar?
Captain
I have a
America, sure.
completely off the sub. Okay, adamantium versus vibranium. What wins? Quick, tell me.
Vibranium?
I'd say vibranium, yeah, because it. I'm trying to think if they ever did, like, if Wolverine ever swung on Cap.
I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
had
at some
to.
point, yeah. But I think
'Cause
vibranium.
that's-
Vibranium absorbs the vibration and it just
Yeah.
kind of it.
Well, you think about
will
this.
reflect it.
If Thor's hammer bounces off,
Yeah.
it probably would.
Yeah.
So the claws would not penetrate the shield.
No.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It would just go boing. And
Yeah.
Just the
Well,
whole
actually, coming out of
rings of
I think it was-
energy.
talking about that with Thor's hammer and talking about Civil War, coming out of that, everybody had a problem with Iron Man, and because Cap got killed, Thor was a little pissed,
Oh.
and I think they were at his funeral, and Tony was in the suit.
In the Iron Man
In the
suit.
Iron Man suit.
Not
and
in a-
Thor came up and said, "This is not over. We're going to have this discussion later," and tapped him on the chest, and it dented the suit. And it's like as Thor was walking off, he like looks down and goes, "He dented my suit." It was one of those panels that you have, like panels that stick with you. That
Oh,
was
yes, I
always one that
understand.
stuck with me because he was like, "This is not over. We're not doing it here.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have this discussion," and then just boink, just let him know,
Man.
I got your number.
Yeah, that's great.
So that, I mean, I guess you can the whole thing with Mark Ruffalo being in Captain America: Civil War, I guess you can still chalk up as a rumor, but
Yeah.
but I mean, because
And
Robert Downey Jr. can fire off whatever
Yeah.
he wants to say,
And he seems to be the kind of guy that likes to tweak the fandom
Oh,
just to
absolutely.
be fun with it. You know.
Absolutely.
And also he could be in the movie for all of 10 minutes of screen time.
that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
because
and he told Mark Ruffalo he's in. He never said the Hulk was in it.
that's true.
So, I mean, he was in Iron Man 3
Yeah.
because he was in the credit scene.
Yep.
But which begs the question is, okay, while all this was going on, where were you?
Well, that's what I wanted about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. When everything's falling apart with those guys, there's no one
Avengers.
hero,
Yeah.
not one Avenger, because they're all doing their thing in a higher plane or something, you know.
They got stuff to
And
do, man.
And it's called multi-million-dollar movies.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah.
That's what turned me off from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of midway was that there weren't any presence of heroes,
Yes.
you know, and it just seemed like
They would do a few, but none of the, like Nick Fury. It surprised me how many times he showed up on the show.
Yeah.
He showed up like 2 or 3 times. But it was just to come in, yell at Coulson, and then take off.
I've got
This
an
is Samuel
entire.
L. Jackson?
I've got
Yes.
as wow.
Yes.
I've got an entire season pass on Amazon of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I've watched probably 7 episodes of it.
Is that the first season?
Second season.
Second
I just
season.
could not. I just couldn't get. I mean, it just.
I like
and
the
then
show. It's just
The
you know,
Flash is
I
just
ran out of
so much
time.
more fun. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, it's just
is.
the
Yeah.
It
Flash just seems like something I would have loved when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and
Totally.
Well, it's so much fun for me because Emma is 12 years old.
Oh,
she's
cool.
getting into it,
Yeah.
and she just
is eating it up.
Yeah, the infectious nature of her being so excited for it.
Yes.
And I mean, I'd be watching it anyway.
Yeah.
But with her being so into it, it really makes
Yeah.
it's something
And-
special for me. So
And you know, I'm surprised at the level of effects that they're doing on that show.
Yep.
They're really. I mean, you can tell it's not Hollywood and big blockbuster effects, but they're not cheap.
Yeah,
TV
oh, no,
looking things
no.
at all.
They're doing Firestorm, which is
Yeah.
not an easy character
That's
to do.
true.
Yeah.
Right? He's like
not an easy character to explain.
no, right?
That's
Yeah, it's
right.
really weird. Well, there's an old guy stuck inside a young guy.
And they're on fire.
They're on
They're on
fire.
fire,
They don't burn
yeah.
up for each other. Or no, that came out wrong. They wear this thing. Right?
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it's difficult to explain. They have to combine to become this superhero but it looks just like one of them.
Ronnie.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay,
The better looking of the two.
of course,
The younger one. Yeah.
And I think it's hilarious that they have Robbie Amell as Firestorm and Stephen Amell as Arrow right next to each other, and they don't even acknowledge the fact that they look so much alike.
Yeah. So they're brothers.
They're
huh?
cousins, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never even caught that.
But they,
Wow.
if you stand them next to each other, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, they're related.
There's some,
And they've
there's some
never,
gene
they
sharing
don't even
going on
acknowledge
here.
it.
Yeah.
They don't even acknowledge it. So
I mean, maybe we can shift to talking about Flash because I don't think we got to do the season wrap up. Right? It's like, what did you guys think of the whole reveal of Thawne? Right? Of what is it? Ilbert Thawne?
Eobard.
Eobard
Thawne.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thawne, right? As
I
the
think,
reverse Flash.
I
Dr.
liked
Wells,
it. I mean,
Yeah.
and I haven't, and feel free to spoil me because my
You
sister,
are spoiled
I haven't watched the last 3 episodes
of Flash.
of Flash because
Oh,
I was
dude.
kind of holding them.
Well, you know that, right? That
I do know that
didn't ruin
Eobard
that for
Thawne.
you?
No, no.
Well,
you
yeah,
didn't bring
that I mean that was
I don't,
revealed.
I don't
farther
know
back.
the exact season cliffhanger, but I figure it has something to do with multiple universes.
Yes,
it's something fun's going on.
Yes, it's very well done, and it's. I mean, the
Because they introduced the time travel aspect and the thing
Yes.
with he goes so fast that time starts to get wonky.
yeah,
So
and he has to do that again.
okay,
Thawne needs him to do it so he can return to his time.
gotcha. Yeah,
But he convinces him to do it by saying, "You can go back, and you can save your mother."
oh, okay,
So that's the whole thing. He basically uses something that Barry wants to get him to do what he wants him to do. And he does it, and when he goes back, he seeds the two, because he was there fighting Reverse Flash.
yeah,
So when he goes back, he sees his future self
yeah.
look at him and go, "No."
Oh,
So he doesn't save her,
yes.
but he does get to talk to her.
Well, and there's also the whole predestination paradox. Of
Exactly.
Business,
Yeah, because
where
if he saves her, then he doesn't become the Flash. Then
Doctor Who calls it a fixed point in time, which is just writer speak for that.
Exactly.
But basically, you can't say you can't save JFK. You can't because none of us would be born if you did.
yeah, and that's the thing. That's the problem. And with a show that's this much fun, you kind of have to just gloss over stuff like that because there's giant gaping holes that you can poke in this. But he ends up coming back to our time. And I'm not going to blow the huge thing in the last because
there's flying cars.
No, it's a very good swerve in the final episode.
Okay.
Of what happens, but you get to when he goes back in time, there's a wormhole open.
Oh wow!
And Reverse Flash is he has a little ship and he's going to go into it. And while this wormhole is open, Jay Garrick, the Golden Age Flash, the helmet he wore.
Oh wow!
The helmet comes flying out
through the wormhole
and lands. And Thawne looks at it and goes, "That's my cue to leave."
Yeah, and he breaks out.
So it's like, so he knows who that is.
Yeah.
So he has.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, see, I was thinking that maybe the doctor. What's the doctor's name?
Wells.
Wells.
I was thinking that in some way, they might wind up saving him in some kind of
they're
time
going to have
rib.
to because Tom Cavanaugh is going to be on the show next year.
Okay.
So he's still a regular on the show.
Okay.
So either
will he play Wells?
I don't know. So that's the question.
Because we're going to probably see the transformation of Caitlin into Killer Frost at some point.
Caitlin,
and then Cisco
in the comics, Caitlin becomes a supervillain.
Okay.
Cisco becomes a superhero.
So Caitlin's the woman doctor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So she becomes a villain.
Yes.
Wow.
Killer Frost.
Killer Frost.
Okay.
Who's like arch enemies with Firestorm.
With Firestorm, exactly.
Yeah, right.
But that was her feat. Anyway.
Yeah. And they're married now. They get married. So they're married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got married in the particle accelerator, didn't they?
Yeah. That's
well, sorry, I don't want to ruin it for you. It was a lovely wedding. It was Jewish.
Mazel tov.
Yes.
You just got to sweep up the broken glass afterwards, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like it's a working particle accelerator.
That's true.
So
That's true.
you can just throw crap down in there. So, but anyway, the whole thing with the Flash, the entire season was just a lot of fun. It was, it got great ratings for the CW. The CW is overjoyed with it.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, so much that now there's going to be a spinoff
of the Flash,
Flash and Arrow, or as I call them, Flaro. It's called Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay.
And you get more DC heroes,
more DC fun.
Yeah, Hawk Girl's going to be on there.
Oh, that's cool. Well, they figured out how to do it, make it fun, to make it work, and I don't know, because. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. It's like Ray Palmer, Heat Wave,
Captain Cold.
I did
Sarah?
see a promo of this.
Yeah, Sarah
is Black Canary
is back from the dead. She's White Canary on the show.
You're kidding?
Nope.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So she's coming back from the dead.
And then
Martin Stein,
Firestorm.
although they haven't specifically said Firestorm is going to be on there, but the guy who plays Martin Stein is going to be a regular.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
This guy's Rip Hunter,
that's Rip
right?
Hunter and Hawk Girl in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You guys had a Daredevil talk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Daredevil is another. I haven't actually finished. I don't know if, Mike, have you watched all of the season?
I'm on episode 5.
That's about where I am.
Yeah.
The one where it's.
He helps the doctor who helps him.
Yes.
What's her name?
Dawson.
Yeah, Rosario Dawson. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten to the episode that it gives you Kingpin's back story. Because I watched I watched the beginning of the episode, and he's getting ready, and he's he's meticulously picking out what he's wearing and all this, and then he's looking in the mirror, and the camera swings around and it shows you the mirror, and in the mirror he's a little boy, a pudgy little boy, and he's covered in blood, and then that just goes to the open.
I'll tell you this, you're in for a treat. That show just keeps getting better the deeper you go into it.
Yeah.
I finished it probably a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And it was it was like that book you're talking about. I mean, it was too, okay, I've got to go to work now. I mean,
exactly,
and but I didn't think I would, because I don't typically like ultra violent kind of takes. This I didn't mind, and it worked for the story. It never to me seemed gratuitous. It never seemed we're doing violence because we can, and we're on streaming.
Because we're on Netflix, we can do that.
No, it seemed like it was always story driven,
which a lot of times Game of Thrones comes off that way to me.
Yeah.
Oh, violence.
Because we're on HBO,
we can show
we can do all this.
Yes.
Yeah, and it comes off a lot of the times that way to me.
Why I watch it. If it was on Cinemax, it'd be even worse.
Yeah, it's true.
It would have a saxophone in the background.
After
and a
dark.
glossy lens.
I'll say this much: I'm still making my way through season 1 of Thrones, and the production value is just phenomenal. I keep forgetting that I'm watching a TV show.
Yeah,
right.
It just looks movie all the way.
Yeah.
And
it's
that's
better. I mean, they went. This season is all about epic, grand, like big shots. Little people. I mean, it's just wait.
I wonder if they have like Weta and Lucasfilm doing the special effects for them and stuff.
Probably.
They probably do.
Probably.
Yeah.
And speaking of Game of Thrones, something I saw this week that really bugged me. People complaining about what has been happening to some of the characters. They're complaining that bad things are happening to these characters, and we like the characters, and we want good things to happen to them. And that kind of bugs me. It's like, okay, you have to have an angel, you have to have the devil. If nothing bad ever happens to these characters, you're robbing them.
Maybe you should be watching NCIS. I don't. I mean,
but even then, if they never go through any adversity,
I like NCIS. I mean, anyway.
if they never go through any adversity, then how can they be triumphant?
Yeah.
And if you don't see them,
and I think
rise above something like that,
and you're correct. I think a lot of it is people are, in a sense, used to the TV thing where people regulars don't die. But this is and not it's not TV, it's HBO. I mean, so and this is and this is also based on novels, which people come and go in novels all the time.
George R.R. Martin this week fired back at people complaining about how many people he kills,
and good for him. I mean,
and he basically said, "Okay, you want to talk about a bloodbath? Let's talk about William Shakespeare."
Yeah.
he killed more people in 3 hours in Hamlet than I've killed in all of my books.
Yeah.
He said, you know who made it through Hamlet? 2 people. That's all that's alive at the end of Hamlet. That's it.
Well, I mean, it's, there's tragedy, and I don't think Game of Thrones is completely a tragedy, but there's tragic elements to it, and that's,
but see, that's the thing. That's the thing that bugs me is the feeling of instant gratification. I've got to see them right now be triumphant. But if they've never gotten over anything and they've never worked through anything that was horrible, then it's not nearly as good.
And a thing that disgusts me a lot is when you have a character who's obviously a foil, who's meant to shake up the mix, and everyone goes online and goes, "I hate that character. That's awful."
The point.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
That's the point.
In the bear trap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or they get you to love a character so much. Now it's like they do that so that when they get killed,
it means something.
It's tragic. Yeah, right.
It means something. And the and one of the complaints was that, and this is actually kind of a valid complaint from what I haven't watched this season, but I've kind of kept up with what's going on. And one of the complaints was what's being done to the female characters. It's been a rough year to be a female.
Yes, there's been
Game
a lot
of
actual feminist politics getting involved in that talk too.
And one of the people that they were the characters they were complaining about is Cersei.
Mm-hmm.
What? Mm-hmm. How could you be upset about her being treated badly? She has been.
You feel bad for her.
She needs it.
Yeah, you should see. I mean, I don't want to ruin it. I've seen everything, but
she okay.
You really feel bad for her.
In the first, I really doubt that I'd feel bad for her. In the first episode, you see her cheating on her husband with her brother.
Yeah. That's
so. I really find it hard to believe that I would feel bad for her. and I mean, if anybody needs punishment in that show, it's her.
But the way that's set up, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, there's so much going on in that story that sort of mimics, like, the fears we have about today, where, like, an aspect of our society could gain so much power that it could take down our society. So,
oh, wow.
What's going on in King's Landing is there's basically a religious revival, an uprising, but it's getting to cult militant level.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, you think about like radical movements in religions and how that can just basically, any shred of what a government was is gone. Yeah. So that's threatening King's Landing, which is very interesting. So it's like, I hear you. Like without that context, to think of Cersei like getting her due is kind of like right. But on the other hand, when you see the context, you're like, oh man, like
basically they've basically set you up and go, okay, you serious? You really want to see this person? Okay, and that's a good storytelling.
Well, it's like if you just
so well done. Even I mean, I'm not a book reader, but from what I hear, like. The show's doing a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, like if you just took you just watched the episode where Joffrey dies.
Oh, you'd be like, man, why'd they kill that?
That's horrible.
Look at that.
The way he dies, that's horrible. You know what? Screw him. He deserved it. I've been waiting for 2 years for him to croak. So, by God, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Little bastard.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, right. He certainly
he's an incestuous bastard.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in that show.
That's. But anyway, we kind of got off on a tangent here. But a couple of things else I want to mention about our movie and TV news. There's still rumors of a Aquaman and Flash cameos in Batman vs Superman.
Oh, pictures? Have you seen leaked pictures?
I haven't seen leaked pictures.
Ooh, cinematic Flash they've shown. Do you want to see, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want me to,
what I read earlier today was that Batman breaks into LexCorp / Cadmus and finds files on.
Oh, okay. And of course, this has nothing to do with the TV show Flash. I'm assuming.
And that kind of bugs me.
That does, because have a unified universe, people. Come on.
Yeah, it makes sense.
This is
and Aquaman might be in some kind of.
Oh, wait a minute.
Aquarium in there. It's something I heard that
I may have fallen for the for the stuff.
Clickbait.
Well, I've heard that. Well, they're saying that he may look like the Flash. Oh, here I'll show you. This is Flash from Injustice: God Amongst Us.
Oh, okay.
Among Us, right, where he's got armor.
Okay.
So we don't know
Holy
for sure
moly.
yet.
So
This
maybe
in the
it is.
game.
But
This is
even
in game.
even
Injustice.
if it is a different Flash, because there's been 3 different Flashes over the series of comics. You know, we had that discussion one time on the show. Even if you say, "Oh, well, that's Wally West," it doesn't matter to casual viewers. Flash is the Flash.
Yeah, it starts becoming brand name confusion.
And if you've got a Flash on TV and then you got a Flash in the movies, it's going to confuse people.
Well, we may have 2 Flashes in TV. Right, we're going to have Jay Garrick.
If Jay Garrick's there, yeah.
A helmet appearance.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to show up and be like, "Hey, kid, you know, what do you say?" Right? He's going to have that sort of like
a little salt and pepper hair on the side. Yeah. I mean, in 22 Skidoo, we're out of here. But yeah, I think I don't think it's smart. I think if they should have held off, and so if the Flash TV show continues to be successful, then if you're going to have a cameo with the Flash, let it be Grant Gustin.
Yeah, I mean, because I think he's earned it. And I mean, just for the fact that he's not going to be. You're right. It's going to be a small role, maybe just a cameo, a walk on.
Now there's a Flash movie planned for 2018. So there's actually a solo movie.
I'm really confused what DC's plans
exactly.
are.
And that's the problem.
It's literally like, and I know this is how Hollywood works. The TV division and the movie division are ran as separate, siloed entities.
Oh, they have
probably
actually
do not talk to each other.
There's somebody has specifically said they're not the same universe.
Yeah.
So because if you think about it, if in Flaro, they would have referenced Man of Steel.
That's true.
The events of Man of Steel you think would have been mentioned.
Well, yeah, since Metropolis has a hole in it now.
And they attacked the
monster machine.
They attacked the world with dubstep.
Correct. And it sounded good. I like that wub. That was pretty good wub. Was it better than the wub in the Elektra? I don't know. I think Elektra might have been better.
Well, they did more damage with it.
That's true because it was ripping all the way through the core of the planet.
They were always my kung fu's better than yours. My dubstep's better than yours.
Yeah, and it made things float and then crash back down to the.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I thought I did hear. I heard. What's his name? Cisco make a reference to something about a Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, that was just like he called Adam a Man of Steel, which there was a couple of
that was a winky kind of joke thing.
Yeah, there was a couple of wink and nod jokes like that.
Was that the guy who turned into metal? That was like the bully of Barry, who's in like episode 2.
No, that was that may have been when he did the Man of Steel reference, but when Brandon Routh was on there as the Atom, when he was on there, he made a crack about they went outside for him to arrive. They look up, oh, it's a bird, it's a plane, because Brandon Routh played Superman at one time. So there's a bunch of wink and nod kind of jokes like that.
We've seen Cord Industries. We've seen Ferris Air.
Yep.
No reference to Coast City, right? Which would sort of really say Lantern.
They may have. They have mentioned, because I think at one point Ollie went on vacation to Coast City or something like. He went to Coast City.
Okay.
You don't see it, but he just mentioned. He mentions Coast City, and that's where.
My guess, it looks like Vancouver, but that would be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They all look like Vancouver. But yeah, so they haven't mentioned anything about any events that happened in other in the movies. So you would think, like I said, if the events that happened in Man of Steel were to happen in that universe, there'd be at least some kind of mention.
Yeah.
So it looks like they are keeping them completely separate. But even then, is that smart?
From just because the people you want to see your movie on opening, you're going to heavily promote it during Flash and Arrow. Yep. And the problem that's going to come down is, okay, kids, you're watching Arrow, but there's another Arrow or another Flash.
Another Flash, yeah.
And I'm like, I know that you can't, because movies have to be made years in advance, and a TV show may not last past 5 episodes. So you can't know, I suppose.
But that was my thing. It was like, okay, when you announced that there's going to be a solo Flash movie in 2018.
Yes.
Wait a little bit. See if the Flash TV show is successful.
Yeah. And I still think I wouldn't have minded saying, I don't remember his name anymore, which is sad, but the guy who played on Smallville, the lead.
That played Arrow?
Or
Welling.
Yeah, Tom Welling.
Tom Welling.
I would have loved to have seen him with his hair slicked back and really and truly have a go at just one Superman movie.
For more than 20 seconds in the finale.
Because, and I know it's not necessarily viewed this way in Hollywood, but by God, the kid earned it.
He did, he did a great job.
He played a non-suited, barely flying, running real fast.
Yeah.
Superman light. For 10 seasons or whatever. And, give him the suit, by gosh.
Yeah. But that was the whole point of Smallville. The no spandex rule. They were not going to have the suit.
Yeah.
Period. That's what it was. It was the story of how he got to the suit.
Yes.
Not him in the suit. The problem is it went on so long.
Yeah. That
he got long in the tooth by the time he put on the suit.
He was about 40 years old by the time. Yeah. Okay, it's time for we're going to have to give you another suit now. Okay.
Yeah. With the built-in muscles.
Correct. With the built-in muscles and some oxygen and But
and the whole thing that bugged me about that was it was not seeing him in the suit, because I understood that's the deal. But his fight with Darkseid. This has been built up for 2 years. The Darkseid's coming. And the fight took about 25 seconds.
This was in this. I never watched the Smallville show.
Yeah, it was the finale. That, like I said, for the last 2 years of the series, Darkseid's coming.
Did they show him? They show him?
No, not really.
Oh.
Kind of like a shadowy silhouette. And he fought him and basically just flew straight through him. And the fight's over.
That's kind of.
I was like, I'm sorry, what?
I mean, they did more with Marster's Brainiac than they did with him, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Brainiac was awesome on Smallville.
I mean,
Because, you had an actor that had such charisma to be able to play it that way. It was really.
Did he do his British accent? Because he's American.
No, he did. I think it was American accent.
Because he's
is
really good.
Which is really odd to see him speaking in
his natural accent,
natural American accent. You're so used to from Buffy the Vampire Slayer to see him as with a British accent. But.
So, you want to talk about Home? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, that's something we mentioned last week about the X-Files.
I'll pull up the wiki.
And our friend here, Chris, is a huge X-Files
I was one of
fan.
The people who recorded it back when VHS was a thing.
Back when you actually had to put a tape in and record it.
And I would, because I a lot of times had to work on Friday nights, but even if I didn't, I would pause get the commercials out.
There's actually been some leaked pictures from the X-Files set that came out,
and some are officially leaked on Twitter too.
Oh, of course, yeah. But here's a shocker: they show a UFO crash.
Oh no! Really?
Who would have thought that the X-Files would have a UFO crash?
That is shocking to me. That is.
Come on!
I cannot believe that. Okay, Home was the second episode of the 4th season of the original run of the X-Files. And it aired in 1996, October 11th, 1996. It was directed by Kim Manners. And this episode was the first episode of the X-Files to receive a viewer discretion warning for graphic content, and it carried a TV-MA rating, which is equivalent to a motion picture rating of R.
Yeah, which at the time, this was, when did it air? 94, you said?
1996.
96. Back then, you didn't have a TV-MA that often.
No.
Now, anything pretty much past 10 o'clock on cable.
And this aired at 9 o'clock because Fox even then didn't have a network 10 o'clock hour.
No,
and they still don't.
It was all
so
news.
it aired at 9.
Yeah,
and that is.
But having a TVMA then was a big deal.
So eventually, basically, it deals with a family of inbred mutants, and it is like the heels have eyes. It is absolutely horrifying.
Didn't you say that Fox wouldn't re-air it?
They never did.
They never re-aired it.
And what was so funny is it became, when FX Network, the cable network, did a viewer poll of the best X-Files episodes and then ran them on like a holiday, probably 10 years ago or whenever, Home was number one.
Oh, they probably ignored it.
Yeah, because no one had seen it, and it has this reputation of being. It opens with the mutants burying a dead mutated baby. That's how awful this episode is, and it is. It just goes from there, and
I'm looking at scenes from it now. I don't know how I'm going to process this in a new way.
I mean, this is okay. And basically, it was also kind of used to make fun of rural America, or to make a commentary. African American actor Tucker Smallwood, and the reason I'm saying it's African American is playing Sheriff Andy Taylor.
Oh, shut up!
And his deputy is named Barney, but not Barney Fife.
There's a shock.
So, and the Peacock family, according to the townsfolk, date back to the Civil War. And they've basically been living in this one house, and basically it's a mother wife sister situation, and mother wife sister
Uncle Dad
lives on a skateboard under the bed.
Yikes! Oh, I do remember this episode now. And holy crap! I remember
wife
that.
Mother sister doesn't have arms or legs.
Yes.
Oh God!
I remember this episode now. Holy crap!
Just a womb, for
it's a womb with a view.
Yeah. Well, actually, in this case, not.
Not really. No, she's lived. When you said that, she lives under the bed on a skateboard. I was like, oh God, I remember this one now.
Yeah, it might have been one of those mechanic. I think
it's one of those
mechanic things.
I blocked that out.
Oh God, it is a horrifying episode. So anyway, the new X-Files, what they're doing is they're going to do 6 episodes. That will air.
It's a miniseries.
It's a miniseries. Okay. It will air early 2015. Sorry, 2016.
Okay.
Right now it's 2015. And you said to me that episode 2 will be the sequel episode.
Yes, it's called Home Again.
Home Again.
And it's written by the same guy.
Morgan and Wong.
Yeah, we're thinking
And what the ending of the episode, the oldest son and mother, sister, wife gets into the pink Cadillac.
Shut up.
And drives off into the sunset.
Not a pink Cadillac. Did he say, thank you very much?
Oh, boy. Yeah. But anyway, they had done remember a show called Space Above and Beyond? Did you remember that? It was a space battle Marines kind of.
See, I don't remember the names as much. Like if you describe it to me, I'll probably remember.
Show that dealt with United States Marines in 2075 or something like that, fighting aliens that they called chigs, or they were insectoid-like things.
That.
And
kind of like Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Morgan and Wong are the writers of this Home episode.
Okay.
They produced that show. It didn't last. So they went back to the X-Files for one final swing to the fences, and that was the episode Home.
Yikes.
And they did, in the X-Files canon, they did some of the absolute breakout early episodes that in a lot of cases didn't deal with aliens. It dealt with monsters. Yeah. And they did some excellent monster episodes.
That was something we talked about last week, is what I loved about the X-Files. Sometimes it was conspiracy. Sometimes it was aliens. Sometimes it was monsters. Sometimes it was just weird crap.
Yeah, it was just weird,
And that
power doesn't work right. Why? Yeah.
And of course, Mulder thought immediately that it was some kind of poltergeist or aliens or something.
And Scully would just roll her eyes at him, and or roll her eyes in the tone of her voice, which was amazing because she sounded so disappointed in him at times
that he would think that stuff. Yeah. And I love that aspect of it. It wasn't just one specific thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't in like a specific box. It could do all these different things.
And when they started doing the funny, because the brother of Glenn Morgan, Darren Morgan, did the humorous episodes, which were incredibly funny. And the one called Clive Bruckman's Final Repose is a classic X-Files episode. And the actor who played the monster in Young Frankenstein played a kind of a depressed older guy who was a psychic, and he didn't want to be. And he kept seeing Peter Boyle. Yes, I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah,
and his performance in that, it was just touching. It was and it was a touching episode. That's the thing that you watch the episode and it's got funny moments in it, but he's an old man who's pretty much in the winter of his life. He doesn't want this problem. He doesn't want to touch people and see how they're going to die, and that's what he's got.
Yeah,
and he also sees how he's going to die. He can't get it out of his head, and he's cursed with this. So this is much more of a curse than a superpower in this case. And there's a lot of great scenes in that episode with him and Gillian Anderson Scully, where he's talking to her. But just the wit of the episode and how fast you almost have to watch it more times just to hear the dialogue go through it to get all of the little asides and things. But the episodes that someone with the last name of Morgan is associated with are generally going to be a notable episode of the X-Files.
Yeah.
And of course, our Breaking Bad guy, Vince Gilligan, cut his although he was a movie writer before the X-Files, but he really got, I think, his TV chops writing. And if you look at Breaking Bad and how it breaks, and you've got a pair of pants falling out of the sky, and people and this chemicals in the RV. You've seen Breaking Bad, okay?
Of course, yeah.
And you don't know what's going on, and that's a classic X-Files teaser.
Yeah,
you're
not quite
you don't
sure
understand what's going on, and you've got to
know why is he in his underwear?
Why are they wearing gas masks?
Why are they wearing gas masks?
Who are these bodies floating around in this goo in the back?
Yeah. So stuff like that. I mean, like you said, you think about how many years did it? How many was it on?
X-Files ran for 9 seasons, but it was not the same show in its last 3 because it was a perfect example of a show that should have died. It should have ended. Seinfeld. They ended Seinfeld right when they should have. It became a legend because they ended it right. X-Files should have ended at the end of season 7.
Yeah,
and it would have been a much bigger legend.
It's funny, we were talking about Hugh Jackman stepping away from Wolverine, and he has said part of that is because of Seinfeld. Seinfeld stepped away when he should.
Yes.
He didn't. The show didn't go on a downward spiral and in being crappy.
Yes.
It went out at the top.
And when Duchovny kept wanting to leave, they should have just said, okay, he's the guy, he's our star, he's our quarterback. Let's just go ahead and call it a day.
Yeah.
And instead,
but they saw that money.
They saw all the money, and the show was still
a car payment to make.
Yeah, and Fox, the network, wouldn't let them go.
Oh, I mean, well, that was the biggest thing they had.
Yeah. And what's so funny is when you look at the beginnings of X-Files, they were literally talking to them like, okay, guys, when you're canceled, a new show that I want you to try to do, after this is canceled, because no one thought, the network didn't think it was going to make it. Everyone had their money on The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. If you happen to remember that.
Yep.
With the Chin himself in that.
Yep, Bruce Campbell.
And that was a funny show, and it should have made it because that show did not deserve to die. I mean, and a lot of people make fun of that now because
on Fox, that was probably what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it was.
The network that kills shows.
Yeah.
So I won't have my brown coat Firefly cry right now. So
yeah, exactly.
I'll just let that go. But
that's still on. It's on. I don't think it's not on Netflix. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Have you seen all of those episodes?
I think I've seen them at some point.
Because the one called Out of Gas, where it opens with him bleeding and falling to the deck plating. And then it's one of those ones where 24 hours earlier, it does one of those reverse teasers.
Yeah.
And TV Tropes has the proper name for that. I don't remember the name for that, but a lot of shows love to do that.
Yeah.
It's like it opens up, Tim's shot in the head, and then we find out why.
Yeah.
But that finding out why was fascinating because suddenly the engine room just explodes in the middle of Act 1 while they're all sitting around having a great dinner. Jane's not even being a problem.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting along, and then suddenly the engine room explodes. You think it might have vaporized Kaylee. You're not sure.
Yeah.
They're completely without power in the middle of the black of space. They're all going to suffocate. And they get into the shuttles. Inaro's got a shuttle, and there's another shuttle. Mm-hmm. So they basically head in two different directions, hoping they're going to find an Imperial Star Destroyer or whatever they're called to rescue them. And meanwhile, Mal is still on the ship, and some people come, but they're not good people. And they're pirates. And it just keeps – it's basically the writer's thing to where you get your character up a tree, you start throwing rocks at them, and then after that, light the tree on fire.
Yep.
I mean, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Yep.
And it was one of the best episodes. And to where, everyone was at their A game on that show.
Yeah.
And when I look at what Fox did – and see, this is what I don't understand. You've got a network that has this contract with something called baseball. And every time they put out their new shows, in the middle of getting them noticed by an audience, we got to stop and have baseball.
Yep.
Which is great because baseball, happens in the fall. That's its legend. But
fall classic.
Why not start these shows after Christmas?
Yeah.
Just keep them in the can and just run. I think they do that now more.
Let's air this one after the baseball game.
Correct.
You already got eyes on your channel.
Yeah.
Show something like that to get them hooked on that show.
But Fox has to give the over because it's a big, huge local thing at 10 o'clock or whatever is 10 o'clock, wherever it slides to.
Yeah.
That they got to give up to the local.
Yeah, they got to give it to the local affiliate for the news. So,
but that's one of the things where a lot of what dies on Fox is because of the baseball. In my opinion, I mean, because it's every year. I mean, they just totally just put a rent through their season.
I'm not going to sit here and let you talk bad about baseball, though.
Baseball's awesome.
Communist.
Baseball's awesome. Just wish you wouldn't kill my TV shows.
Yeah, people that have listened to the Ninja Troll Digicast for a while know that during baseball season,
there's something called the Dodgers that you're fond of. I heard rumors.
And I can get cases of baseball Tourette's during the show because the game will be on. I'm not turning it off. I'm watching the game.
Oh, I understand. You got to do what you got to do.
We do the show, and then I'll just in the middle of a sentence, I'll just start yelling about turning a double play in the middle of a sentence talking about Batman or something. But it's just the way it is.
You got to do it.
It is. But we're running out of time, so let's just move on. We're not even gonna take a break. We're just gonna move straight on to the comic book rack.
Meanwhile, back at the Cathedral of Wisdom, it's time to head to the comic rack.
Hey, nice rack.
The latest news from the world of comic books, comic book movies, and TV, right here on the Ninja Troll Digicast.
All right, in comic book news, a couple things I want to mention first, then we're going to go to Mike's question about Convergence. DC Comics has announced, again, they're going to do Batman Day on September 26th, which it makes sense. It was very, very popular last year and got a whole lot of good press. It makes sense. And Batman's cool, so there you go.
We can add it to our geek holidays, right? We've got
true.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you, and then Revenge of the 6th.
Revenge of the 6th.
Right after.
That's a new one.
So, but speaking of Batman, we were talking last week about the new Batman being James Gordon in a suit. Batman 41 is out. I've read it, and I'm not happy. It's just I just don't.
In this story, what's happened to Bruce?
He is dead. Air quotes.
Quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. At the end of Batman 40.
No, wait a minute. Where was the death of Batman media?
Yeah, see, that's the
kerfuffle that happened with Superman back in the 90s. I mean,
at the end, well, they didn't push it like they did.
Okay.
But the the end of Batman 40, it's to the point to where you're like, hey, wait, what just happened there? But in Batman 41, it's kind of known to the public that Batman's dead. So a company that makes these suits decides they're gonna make a Batman. They get the best of the best from the recruits at the police academy, and they're training them. And while they're training them, and this actually made me laugh out loud while I was laughing at, the woman from the company is talking to James Gordon, and they're standing next to a plexiglass window looking down on like a workout area. So these guys and girls are working out to train to be Batman, and they're wearing cowls. They all have a Batman cowl on, which I just thought was hilarious.
So the premise is that, right, Batman's dead, so we're going to sort of start a program, a super soldier program.
Yes,
kind of.
Because apparently Batman is McDonald's.
And anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Have it your way.
Yeah, Batman Incorporated wasn't bad enough. Now they're just and the lady is convincing Gordon that it needs to be him instead of one of these young guys. It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
I predict in the next few years they're going to completely blow up Batman and just make it all over again. And because Batman,
they do that. That's another thing we discussed last week is DC and Marvel just cannot stop rebooting everything.
Yeah.
So, and actually,
you want that old timey gospel feeling, though. I guess you want Batman.
Batman is Bruce Wayne
as Bruce Wayne in the alleys, cracking skulls.
Yeah, exactly.
And not having legions of bad people.
We talked about last week about when a character in your story is pointing out the silliness of it. It's a bad sign.
Okay, so that was my question.
Yeah,
where does that happen?
And
because when you set it up for me, and here's my stack.
Yeah,
okay, you got the nice rack, but I got the stack.
Got the stack.
Where did? Okay, so
that was one. Okay,
that's one question. But one thing I have to say: Thomas Wayne, coolest Batman I've seen in a while. That was an amazing part of the Convergence story.
I did like Thomas Wayne and the whole. I don't know if you've been reading Earth 2.
No, but now I'm interested because of all the. They've got a. Where is it? There's an ad for it on the back of it. Sorry, go ahead about Earth 2.
Yeah, Earth 2. The whole time I've been reading that, I've really liked Thomas Wayne. He's older. He's grizzled. He's lost his son, and so that's the reason. And he has to basically drug himself to make himself strong enough to be this superhero.
Survive, right.
So he knows he's killing himself by doing this. But he's doing it anyway to honor his son's memory and to help save people. So Thomas Wayne as Batman is a really, really good character.
I thought incredible. I thought that was one of again, I'm sitting here waiting for all right, Timmy's on this. He's smart. He knows the deal. Where is it? Where is the silliness?
The one when somebody pointed out, I think it was in one of the side books, that they said, okay, if this entity is powerful enough to take us out of our timeline, off of our Earth, and bring us here, why would they just want to make us fight? I think that was one of the side books, to tell you the truth.
So you're talking about Telos, right?
Yes.
He's like the main daddy dude.
Yeah, and in one of the books, somebody just said, okay, that doesn't make any sense. If they're powerful enough and advanced enough to take people out of their Earth and bring them to this netherworld, wherever we're at, why do they want us to just fight? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, okay, now I get what you mean. So the premise, right, the setup is that Telos supposedly, right, with what we learn as Brainiac, right, or controlled by Brainiac, brings all these failing Earth cities, right? So these are all the sort of from all the Earths, right, the 52 Earths, right, in DC.
But it never really said that they were failing.
Yeah, I think it said something that like these were timelines and things that were going to die anyway. So they bring them in to this convergence, right, to where they all fight. So like everybody who's here is sort of doomed from the get-go, And then they sort of are repurposed to serve this new mega war, right? That's going on.
But they'd been there a year before he had the idea for them to fight. They'd been there a year.
True, right? Some have, and then they start bringing in like there's the last
Earth 2 is the only one that hadn't been there under the dome for a year.
And then they're the ones who are brought in, right? Because we start with that crew.
They're there. They're there. They're outside of Earth, and Telos actually says, "You're the only ones without an Earth."
Right.
So you're an anomaly in this. But yeah, all the other. It seemed like to me all the other cities were there as kind of like a terrarium. You're looking at the spider inside the terrarium.
Yeah.
And they had been that way for a year. And then he says, okay, let's have them fight.
Oh, see.
Maybe I missed some vital clue, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Because it seemed like some of these, right, so here, Val Zod, right? He's these are Earth 2 characters, right?
Yes.
They're the sort of young and switched around JSA mixed with some JLA people.
Yes.
Right, we got the
in name only. It's not like the because it's not. That's obviously not Jay Garrick, the one that we know.
Right, he's like a futuristic, old school, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they were talking about like Kal Zod, like his planet they were being destroyed by Darkseid. There was the attack from Apocalypse.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was the Earth when it was
New 52. Right.
At the end of Earth, it was called Earth 2: World's End.
World's End.
At the end of that, Earth was actually absorbed by Apocalypse, the planet.
So they were a failing society joining the rest of these other failing societies, right? That were they're about to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And then they were saved in this out of space place. Yeah. So, I mean, all right. So a couple things. So what I loved the Thomas Wayne. I love the Grayson, right? The sort of introduction of Dick Grayson is just a Batman-like
and that
guy.
there's a connection
between the two
of them, even though, you know, there's still a connection between Batman and Robin, even though it's Dick Grayson who never went through the traumatic childhood.
Nope. He's a cop.
He's a cop, yeah. And it's not even Bruce Wayne as Batman, it's Thomas Wayne, but there's still a connection between the two of them. I did like that, and I like those two characters. And the Earth 2 characters, I've been reading Earth 2 for a couple years now.
They carry us through. I think they're a fantastic sort of, you know, bridge throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So now what I found really interesting, and I know we want to give out perhaps that there's spoilers here for Convergence, is Telos. So I really like the sort of, I immediately thought of Galactus and Silver Surfer with Telos and Brainiac.
Yes.
Where you have this sort of, he gives him the power cosmic, right? Galactus gives Silver Surfer the power cosmic to sort of, and he thinks, it's to save my world, right?
Yeah.
But then he's betrayed, obviously.
And Telos says, he references what I was before, who I was before, and he can't even remember.
Because he thinks he's the life force of the planet.
Yes.
Right, which is bogus.
Yeah.
So what was a little strange was the Deimos and Warlord story, because I wasn't familiar with those
that little
characters.
side thing there was it kind of came out of nowhere
later on. Yeah,
I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand it because I don't know the Warlord character. I don't know the.
They were like some sort of proto-medieval type
Yeah.
things, and I don't know. It was kind of a strange add-on.
And you run into stuff like that anytime there's a wide. In Crisis is the same thing. They wanted to include everything, so they've got Jonah Hex and a Rawhide Kid and all this stuff in there.
And what's his name? Uncle Sam, the Freedom Fighters.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Come on.
and so, unless you read every single DC comic book, and nobody does that, I mean, you're going to run into characters like, okay, I have no idea who that is. And if it's like Deimos, it was a huge part of the story. It's like, okay, I don't know who he is.
He was
know
good.
What's
He was
going
a dark
on.
character.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see here right on the cover of number 5, they're fighting it out.
Yeah.
Telos and Deimos, right?
Yeah.
Over the what's going to go down, and that like they summon Brainiac. I just like that it was twisty, right? It and then they sort of reference the previous crises.
Yeah.
Sort of saying like, if we don't do these things, if you don't die, Barry Allen, if Supergirl, if you don't go back, right? Because they had all been sort of brought back.
And see, that was what, didn't make sense to me. It's like, okay, you've already taken them out. So it's already broken.
Yeah.
So unless you brought them out with plans to send them back, then that just kind of falls in on itself already.
Well, they told them that they had to go back and take over that because they had been plucked from the timeline. So like they needed to go back.
So they weren't the actual version, because if they were plucked from the timeline, then the things that happened didn't ever happen.
And they got to put them back. I think that's what this was getting at least I think, was that Brainiac was aware that the Crisis, all the different revamps, especially because what's his name comes back in, Green Lantern's Sentinel, or what's his name? Green Lantern? Parallax, right?
Okay,
when he turns into that super guy.
Yeah.
Like he steps up at one point and says, I got this. We're about to, remake time again, y'all.
Oh, boy.
And then they sort of
down.
clamp him.
Yeah. Dial it back a notch.
But I like the wisdom that, like, well, hang on, we need to go back to what was previous.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I went in with a lot of your bias on this, and I thought it was a really decent story.
I may have been a little harsh.
It was. Come on. You got me to read Crisis. Like, I was I did not touch DC. Like,
wow.
DC was...
You're a Marvel guy?
Totally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I have, and I got out of superhero books and then picked up Crisis on Tim's recommendation. And I said, all right, and I just loved the writing. And it sort of, I had to sit with like a wiki and.
So.
Yeah.
You have to sit there and like I said, you run into so many characters. Like, okay, who the heck is that? And yeah,
I texted him like the first day, and I was like, I can't go any further unless you tell me about Psycho Pirate. I was like, who on earth is this?
And he actually plays a huge part in Crisis.
And he goes,
and he was not even like a C level villain. He was like F or G level. I mean,
was he someone they bought from when they bought another?
No, he was a Flash
maybe.
villain that.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
controlled emotions. He can control your emotions and make you
cool.
Like in the realm of Batman villains, he was like Calendar Man.
Yeah,
he was like that far down.
Yeah,
he was that far down.
Yeah, we can almost say that we will never see a movie with Calendar Man.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's. I mean,
or the Great Griselda, right?
Yeah, it was very weird.
Well, I mean, because I've read 3 or 4 times the New 52 on Wikipedia to kind of try to understand what, because I know it's a reboot. Mm-hmm. And I still don't understand it. I know that they basically are trying to.
Well, the thing that
have a unified again,
and again, that's another attempt to have a unified world, and so they said, okay, we're gonna reboot everything coming out of Flashpoint. Everything's gonna be one universe. Oh, except for Earth 2.
Okay.
It's like, okay, but wait a minute.
Well, because the Earth 2 characters they're like. They sort of make the universe vibrate in a bad way. It's what I'm gathering. Is that like when their existence in this
that maybe that's what caused it? Yeah,
is what's making things unravel and problems to occur.
And for a primer for someone like me who reads comics about once a year, Earth 2 in the pantheon of Earths. What's Earth 2?
Well, it's a new one actually. In the New 52,
it's not the old Earth 2.
You have the names of. Like the Green Lantern was Alan Scott, who was the Golden Age Green Lantern. He wasn't part of the Green Lantern Corps.
No,
he was the original Green Lantern.
Gets his power from the green of the earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the original character back in the 30s or 40s or whatever.
40s, yeah.
That was
and you had Jay Garrick as the Flash,
who's here. You can see super futuristic.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's not the old school. Golden Age Jay Garrick with just the helmet. It's a futuristic.
It's a new
and he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas Jay Garrick was usually he was at least middle aged.
Okay.
Or
so they're revamping the original origin characters as modern characters.
Yeah. And
so what happens to what we used to call modern age characters?
A lot of them just went away. That was the thing.
Poof,
Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, the Ted Cord Blue Beetle just went away. Wally West, the Wally West Flash just went away.
Now, I'm assuming
Barry Allen's back.
This
as
is
the
one of
Flash.
those things where the books that aren't selling that well or whatever are the ones that they're on the chopping block, and it's a pruning as much as anything else, too, right?
But it was also what they were trying to do was create a starting point for people.
Okay.
To say, oh, the new 52 is coming. Everybody's a number one, and that was one of the things we talked about that last week.
One of the
things that bugged me was everything restarted at issue 1.
No, wait a minute.
Action Comics, which had passed 900 and was going to be the first comic
to go to 1K
to hit 1,000,
yeah.
It's now on issue 41.
Yeah, okay. But okay, now if you've got an actual action number 1 or 2, whichever one where Superman's holding the car up, and the one that goes at auction for a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that going to cause confusion? I guess not. I mean,
no, I don't think anybody's going to sell
it's the new
Action
50.
Comics number 1 from 2011.
So
and go.
I'm just like, okay, so they
$6
started the
billion for this.
renumbering. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like originally 52 issues, right?
No, it was the new 52 was there's 52 different series.
Okay.
That's what
52
the new 52
different
was.
Each Earth. There's 52 Earths that was revealed in the original 52.
That's the thing.
Oh, is that different now?
52 as a series is different from the new 52. When they rebooted and did the new 52, the reason they called it that is because they had 52 books. Like Batman, Detective Comics, Action Comics, Superman.
Right.
There was 52 books that they were publishing.
Because
that's the reason they called that.
And they didn't, because they made a big deal of that number because it was 52 weeks.
Yes.
For the original 52 series.
The original 52 series, that's the reason it was called 52 is because it was a weekly series and it was going to run a year.
And then there was 52 different Earths.
Yes.
That was supposedly where everything was taking place and crossing over. And whatnot.
When they did the new 52, there was 52 series that they were putting out.
But there's only one Earth now and Earth 2.
And Earth 2. Exactly. And that was the thing. It was like, okay, after Flashpoint, everything's into one universe now.
Except Earth 2.
Except for this one.
Well, they can never get rid of Earth 2. I mean, I guess. Yeah, it's there. But see,
that's the thing. That's what Convergence actually ended up being.
20 years, they'll be doing it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If they last that long. But Convergence actually ended up being a reverse Crisis. We've got the multiverse back.
Oh,
that's what they're saying now, that there is a multiverse again.
Okay.
That's in Convergence. They have this discussion. Okay, it turns out the Crisis that combined all the worlds was a bad thing.
Oh,
so we need to stop it.
They unhappened it.
And they unhappened it. And another problem I had with Convergence is they did that, which actually sounds interesting.
Okay.
They did it off camera.
Oh,
you never get to see it.
The which now?
When they sent Supergirl and Flash, they basically say, okay, you need to undo this. So they send them to go undo it, but you never see it.
Yeah, no.
They did it off camera.
Go there.
So what did the Monitor have to say about this?
Oh, that's the thing. In the Justice League, they're starting the Darkseid War is a part of the Justice League.
That looks interesting.
Okay. Yeah, and it's Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know.
Like teaming up. They're like a tag team now.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So it's like
I just remember Monitor from back when I read Crisis back when I was like 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. This is the part, that off-camera part that Timmy's talking about. And he says, this is Brainiac's been released. And he says, I will send you Flash and Supergirl back to the first Crisis. You must prevent the collapse of the multiverse. Then everything will reset and return to what was before. I brought you all here. And he says, well, what are we waiting for? Barry Allen says, let's go save the multiverse.
But, okay,
And then there they all go. Parallax, Superman with Lois and the kid, and then Barry Allen and
to
Kara
me,
L.
that begs questions. Okay, they go back and they prevent Crisis. Okay, is Barry still alive? Is Supergirl still alive?
And do they have smartphones there?
Exactly.
Well, no. They have to go back to do what they did, to die, right? He says,
no, but that
you know your destiny
but if
when you are sent back, Flash.
But that's what they were talking about. But then they decide that they don't need to do that. That the crisis doesn't need to happen. And the events of the crisis was what that they are now going back to prevent, so that we will have the multiverse. And so if the events of crisis don't happen, Barry doesn't die, Supergirl doesn't die. So
is this another story then? Is this
so we and that's just a gaping question for me. Is like, okay, if Barry didn't die, is Wally still retired? Because that's what got Wally out of retirement. He had retired as Kid Flash and said, I'm done. Then when Barry died, he's the world needs a Flash. I'm going to take up the mantle of the Flash to honor my mentor's memory. Right. So he becomes the Flash. That's why he came out of retirement, to do that. So if Barry didn't die during the crisis, if the events of the crisis didn't happen, so that we can continue, that we can still have the multiverse, then did Wally just stay retired?
So let me ask you this: am I missing? So at the end of Crisis, the multiverse became one.
Yes.
So they go and stop it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
all right.
so
I'm
we
sorry,
have
I missed that part.
Yeah, we have. So now we have the multiverse back. Although, if in Crisis, we had to combine them into one.
Yeah.
To keep the world, like the universe, from just blowing up.
But now, what is it? We
So
like it.
So how do we? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now we don't want to do that. So we want it to blow. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Well, they're showing every variation, right? The
Yeah.
sort of the zombies, the sort of pirate versions of
Yeah.
Batman.
So like I said, that
Batman, Green Lantern.
Batman, Green Lantern. That's a
Yeah.
scary one there. So that, like I said, is okay. If the events of Crisis didn't happen, then there's consequences of Crisis that then obviously didn't happen. Barry didn't die, and Supergirl didn't die.
Yeah,
So
they show the different incarnations, including this newest one that has Power Girl.
Yeah.
Green the Alan Scott Green Lantern, looking though like he's a part of the Corps.
Yeah.
Which he isn't, because
Which he's
in
not. Yeah.
the book he powers up so he saves them. Alan Scott is the real hero.
And they've just started. I haven't read it yet, but they're starting a new series called Earth 2 Society.
So JSA.
And they have they're going to find, because their Earth is gone, they have to go find a new planet and they have to rebuild their society.
It's this planet. It's Telos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jay Garrick got his energy from the Earth. They're not on Earth anymore.
Or Alan Scott?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Garrick.
I'm sorry. Alan Scott. I'm using the wrong name.
Yeah.
Green Lantern, Alan Scott got his power from the Earth, the green of the Earth. So they're not on Earth anymore.
Well, he gets it again because Alan Scott's powerless for most of this. And after the Telos planet falls apart and the crisis occurs and Brainiac says we're going to send everybody back and everything splits,
so
Alan Scott's powers
Oh, that's
restore.
right. That's right. He restores it. That's right. Okay, I've forgotten about that.
He grows the whole planet, but this time they have
hulked up.
Hellcat's descendant.
Wildcat.
Wildcat, sorry, right? Hellcat's Marvel. Grayson, who's now wearing this weird Batman suit.
And the cover of Earth 2 Society, he's got almost like a
hood cowl.
Yeah, like a he's got the Batman cowl, but it's got like a you remember when he first became Nightwing, he had that like pop collar kind of look.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of looks like that. It's like a George Perez thing. George Perez loved the pop collar.
The pop collar. yeah. Well then I guess they shoot a flare at the end here, right?
Yeah.
Telos says, like, this reminded me of, like, Jaga from Thundercats, right? Talking from the sky, right? I was like, all right, that's cool. But then there's a ship flying by. We were talking about Galactica before, right? There's sort of everybody from all the other Earths, because they all escape the planet while it's falling apart. They all go out in ships, and then he flares them back, and he says, we've got a world to rebuild.
Yeah,
so,
and that's what it leads right into Earth 2 Society. They're rebuilding their society. So because they only have so many survivors from Earth, so they have to go and like I said, rebuild Earth's society.
Wow, and I don't even get a sense of where this Telos planet is.
That's the thing. It's out of time and space, basically.
So then they're going to have to get back. There's going to have to be some sort of something that takes them back.
And like I said, it leaves too many questions of what's going on, where are they, what's happening now, and I guess you can look at it and go, okay, well, they have to answer those questions, so that gives them plenty of opportunity, like story opportunities. But to me, it just left too many gaping holes at what was going to happen now.
Well, I'll say, sort of tracking back on what I was saying before with Chris is like, I think this got me hooked. Like, I like where DC's at. I think they kind of got their game together. Because back in the day, DC, and no offense, because I know you all consumed it during the time, but it was not cool to be into that. Like the characters were old and like not really exciting. They weren't mutants with claws. Sorry, so it's like it was what it was.
And DC's always seemed like, the gray lady of the kind of comic book thing. And I was not really Marvel aware until the X-Men movies. And then, of course, the Marvel movies come out. And except for Spider-Man, when Straczynski started writing Spider-Man, and this probably was after the X-Men movies came out, I would buy the Straczynski Spider-Man. This is probably 12 years ago, and I loved them. And he had the humor down. That was
what
Spidey.
Was the series that was it Ultimate or
no?
No, it wasn't Ultimate, but he was a high school teacher. He was not a kid anymore.
It was when he had. It was probably.
I think it was Amazing. I believe.
Yeah, it was like his run on Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a little. Peter had gotten older because they did age him a bit because he had to grow up a little bit and get out of high school and.
But he was back at the same high school as a teacher.
Yeah, he was a teacher at the high school. So and now the new movie, he's gonna be a teenager again.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like one of the I think it was Asia Butterfield is one of the actors that may be playing him. He looks like he's
12 years old. Yeah.
I mean he looks like like he's 8-year-old kid. So it's gonna be different with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Convergence was what it was, and I think I may have been a little too harsh on it, but it still leaves a lot of questions for me, and a lot of issues. No pun intended. A lot of issues here and there that I just couldn't get past, and especially when you go from that straight into Secret Wars, and Secret Wars is put together so well that it's like.
now, if I'm a fan of Batman or Superman, the two top titles, as far as I know, would I notice a change with all this? Is it change? All the titles have a part of this change.
Well, right now, Batman is Jim Gordon in a Robo-Bunny suit.
That's a change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually says that in the the lady who's showing him the bat suit, he says it looks like a Robo-Bat-Bunny.
All right, we saw that, right? Because it's got the big ears.
Yeah, again, and again, if the character in your story is pointing out the problems of your story, I mean,
yeah. So they still do the Elseworlds, Vertigo, whatever.
No, that they haven't done. They haven't done an Elseworlds in a while.
Okay.
But they've incorporated some of those Elseworlds into like the multiverse.
Oh boy.
So we may get more of those again.
Okay.
So that Batman Green Lantern, that
cool.
was an Elseworld.
Yeah, that's cool. You should look at this, Chris. This like sort of shows all the all the different multiverses just in picture form. It's not like explained. How are we doing on time, Tim? We got a second to talk about Secret Wars?
Yeah, very quickly.
Okay. There you go. Wow. You can see all the different ones. So I started on Secret Wars. I went on Free Comic Book Day. I got the 0, and I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. I thought even the Free Comic Book Day, the sort of prelude to it with the getting that ship ready. There's a real sense of lurking danger everywhere.
Yep.
I got to say I'm a little Marvel rusty. So I didn't know everything and anything that was going on.
There's a lot with the Cabal. and the Illuminati. There's a lot going on that's like
I don't know what any of that stuff was.
I barely know.
I
know.
just have one question, and you don't even have to answer it.
Oh yeah,
the Bat Lantern guy.
Yes, that was
or
an
the Aqua
Elseworld.
Flash or the Superman Hunter.
I don't know
about the other two, but the Bat Lantern, that was an Elseworld called In Darkest Night.
Oh, I love that. Okay,
awesome. Where he was chosen by the Lantern Ring to be the next Green Lantern instead of Hal Jordan.
Okay, yeah, the Ring didn't care if you wanted revenge or not. I guess
given Batman.
With that kind of power,
a weapon based on willpower. Good lord!
You can make an animated 3D anything that's actually solid, and it can hurt anyway.
Yeah,
the gadgets must be over the top.
Yeah.
So Secret Wars is really kind of cool. It has like a real Independence Day kind of feel.
Yeah.
I gotta say, jumping from one to the other is a little tough because they have Earth with like a number. So like there's Earth 616,
619, or maybe it was 616. Was the regular Marvel universe.
Thanks.
And why it was
that I got right away. Yeah, right. They have it here.
And then the Ultimate. Yeah, there
you go.
They got
a chart.
Yeah,
thankfully.
616 is the regular Marvel universe, but then you have the Ultimate universe, which was just called Ultimate, I think.
That's it. Or 1610 is the
1610. Okay. Those are the only two left.
Are they making fun of DC with that in a way? I mean,
no, because they had their own issues. They had their
it's
own,
almost like a parody of DC in a way with all the
but they had gotten,
and stuff.
but they had gotten to that point themselves.
Okay,
and they're calling superheroes metahumans.
Yeah,
and they're using the term multiverse. So I mean, it seems like that's going to be a problem. I think. I think for literacy between the two. But you're talking about this cabal. Yeah. Right, so this says on Earth 616, and they're from 1610. They're from Earth 616. So these are people from regular Marvel that crossed over.
Thanos and a bunch of, I forget now who all. Terrax, which I'd never heard of.
Terrax, that big stone guy.
Yeah,
he was sort of Silver Surfer, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, Namor, who is even more surly than usual.
Looks like Black Adam, doesn't he?
Yeah. And then the rest of them I'd never heard of, and they're like, I think they know the what wasn't Convergence? What did they call them? Incursions. It's when two universes come together. They call them incursions.
You know, they sat with like the thesaurus, and they're like, "Oh man, Convergence is what we keep coming back to. Let's come up with something better.
We need another word."
Yeah, right.
And the Cabal knows that the incursions are going on, and they're trying to stop them, I think, but I don't know for sure. But Thanos is in it, so Thanos is going to want power. Totally. That's all he's worried about.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, now they're all those last two universes has jammed together, and they're all there, just in different areas of Battle World, and it's all being controlled by Doctor Doom.
Which that scene, first of all, you guys were talking about Kingpin, right?
Yeah.
Fisk earlier, and there's this great scene where he has like Bullseye and all his crew sort of hanging out, and they're toasting to the end of the world. And Frank Castle walks in and says, "Gentlemen, they right." He says, right. He says, "Gentlemen, they say that when you die, you can't take it with you." Which begs the question: exactly what am I going to do with all these bullets?
God, I love the Punisher.
Oh, it's great. It's like there's all the baddies are like in this place, and he just
the world's exploding. I don't care. I'm still going to shoot you.
Yeah,
you're going to die a few minutes earlier than I will.
That's the Punisher, and that's why I love him.
Yes,
but I'm on issue 2. There's 3 and then 4. I think is supposed to come out next week. Yeah, I think at the 1st of July it's supposed to come out. They're a little slower. They went weekly, and now they're sort of spacing it. I kind of felt like an idiot because I walked in and I was like, "Do y'all got Secret Wars?" And they're like, "Dude, it's like 2 weeks away." And I was like, "Oh, all right, you suck. Just give me a Powerpuff Girls and I'll be all right."
I'll be out of here.
Now, I'm going to say this, and this because there's nothing comparable in size to DC and Marvel as far as print run and the number of issues and stuff. And this is kind of the reason they have these issues. But number 3, whoever number 3 is, Image
Comics.
They don't have this problem, do they? Or do they?
No, not really.
Because, I mean, Dennis the Menace doesn't have this problem, and that's a Sunday funny. But, I mean, really. It's
Archie's messing
problems
with the Predator right
really?
now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Archie has little, like, alternate universe things.
Okay.
And they're pretty good.
And they're usually pretty funny. He's met the Punisher. He's met Predator.
That would be funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. I mean, and you have to take everything, tongue in cheek.
Oh, absolutely.
It's Archie Comics. But yeah, they have Archie Afterlife. He dies, and actually Archie Comics is putting out other. They have another imprint that is doing like more mature stuff. There's one called Black Hood that is really, really good, and it earned the distinction of being the first Archie comic to drop an F-bomb.
Oh my!
Yeah,
that's fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. I
didn't realize Archie is its own imprint.
Yes, Archie Comics is a company.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was just someone else owned it.
A title.
A title.
No, it's its own company.
Wow.
And the Black Hood there was a vigilante who was the Black Hood that was taken down by the cops, and one of the cops that took him down basically decides there needs to be a Black Hood, so he starts being him again.
Okay.
But he got shot or was injured in the line of duty, and he gets hooked on painkillers. So he's hooked on painkillers, like taking like a big fistful of them, and then he goes out as the Black Hood, and it's a really twisted.
I need to pick
story,
that up.
But like I said, it holds the distinction of being, and then the writer talks about it in like the they don't have any letters for the letters column in the back, so he just kind of wrote something, and he was like, I hold the distinction of being the first person to drop an F-bomb in Archie Comics. He was like, yes.
Yeah, I kind of heard that Twitter or whatever's kind of killed the letters column in a lot of books now. I mean, they don't really do them anymore, do they?
No, they have them. They have
okay.
them, yeah. But they're a whole lot closer than they used to be. Like letters in the back were like, I just read issue 35, and we're on like 50.
Yeah.
Now it's like there's only like
a lot.
There's like it was 2 issues ago or something like that.
Okay.
So they're getting a little closer, and everybody usually like, I mean, nobody sends in letters. It's all emails, and a lot of people have their Twitter handle at the bottom of the letter and stuff like that. So it's changed a little bit, but they still have them.
Okay.
They still have them. Especially Walking Dead has one of the biggest ones. Of the ones I read.
Who publishes Walking Dead?
Image.
Image does.
Yeah,
okay.
Image was. You'll probably actually remember this because you were back in the 90s. A bunch of writers and artists got together and just said, you know what? We don't like how the business is because we
want to own our own characters.
We don't want to own our own characters, so they formed their own company.
So that was Image, and not
Image.
That's not Dark Horse. That was Image.
No, yeah,
okay.
Dark Horse has been around for a long time.
Okay,
that was Image.
All right,
and they formed their own company, and now
that was McFarlane and those guys.
Yes,
yeah.
And because of
like a United Artists, the comic guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we were actually something else we were talking about last week. Because of all these, because of all these reboots,
he looks like a young Matt Damon in a way.
With the grimace.
But because of all Marvel's and DC's constant reboots, Spawn and Savage Dragon are the 2 longest running comics currently out.
Oh wow!
Because
without reboots, basically.
Exactly. Spawn is at issue 252, which that just came out. Spawn 252 just came out. The cover of it said the new 252. And which was stuff
funny.
like that I love. Yeah, it was just like a little dig at DC. But Savage Dragon is at 254, I think.
Okay.
So they are like the longest running.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have that that issue if you want to simulate real time. You run into an origin, and that's the problem. The origin story becomes an anchor, a boat anchor,
of time. Yeah.
That basically locks you into say the 30s or whatever.
Yeah, because Batman, Bruce Wayne, and his family went to go see Zorro.
Yes.
That's the movie they were going to see.
Not the 1998 one.
Exactly. Yeah. They went to go see Zorro, and that's what when they got jumped and his parents were shot.
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. It becomes and you have to do that. You have to kind of have a rolling thing.
Yeah.
To where all your characters became the character like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it rolls like that. You have to do that.
Yeah.
And you have to. That's part of the issue that you kind of have to. except with comic book characters. Like now, Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, and Captain Marvel are all now 75 years old.
Good Lord have mercy.
With that much history, you have to have change, and you have to kind of accept that. The stuff is going to change through the years like that.
And stuff's going to get retconned, and
it's going to have
reboots,
to.
And so you can't not have that.
Exactly.
So basically, the way I look at it, it's a problem that's good to it's good to have that problem. That means you're big. That means you're big, and you've got characters that stretch back 75 years.
They're archetypes.
And they are. They're very much archetypes.
Well, especially with Superman. And he is the first superhero.
Yes. Yep. And
costume, because you can make the argument that
Zorro might have
Phantom,
been,
Zorro, the Pulp,
Shadow, and
the Shadow, the Pulp,
Pumpernickel guy, whatever what was his name,
Scarlet Pimpernel.
Yes, I'm sorry,
Pumpernickel. Now I'm hungry.
I want me some pumpernickel. Yeah, that
I want a sandwich.
There's
an argument that those could be, but as a costume superhero, he was the first, and
with Secret Identity, the whole thing, Secret Identity,
and quite frankly, Captain Marvel was a straight ripoff.
Yeah,
it was a little different, it was tweaked a little bit, but it was, and as a matter of fact, Fawcett got sued by national publications because
the predecessor company to DC, right?
Yes, yeah. It was too close, and I think they did. I don't remember if they won it was probably some kind of back office deal.
Now we're in a world where Captain Marvel and Shazam are two different entities, and one's a girl, right?
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Captain Marvel was always a Marvel character.
Marvel, right?
Marvel.
Yeah.
Okay. It was an alien.
Kree.
Yeah. But Captain Marvel had been Captain Marvel since 41.
Yeah.
So there was a big lawsuit about that, and so now he's not even referred to as Captain Marvel anymore.
Okay.
He's Shazam. So they could call him. They could call the book originally, 10 years ago. They could call the book Captain Marvel,
but not the character. And now they don't do that.
And now they just went, you know what?
It's Shazam.
He's Shazam. It's the book Shazam. He's Shazam. That's it.
So basically, what I would recognize as something that looks kind of like that god awful thing in the 70s, where you had
the TV show.
The TV show,
that was awesome.
With the
Winnebago.
The Winnebago, yeah. Which now I get this hybrid of Breaking Bad and that now. But anyway, that would be funny.
Billy Batson cooking meth in Winnebago.
So, I'm Shazam, bitch. Anyway. But the
Blue Adam.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the thing but I would recognize that with the lightning bolt and the whole thing. That
he
is
still
now
looks
Shazam.
Essentially the same.
So who's Captain Marvel? What's she look like?
She is in Marvel Comics.
Okay.
In the separate universe, and
is Carol Danvers.
Carol Danvers. She has a like a blue uniform. I think he's googling it there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And she's one of the.
Is she a Supergirl kind of character? I know it's DC, but
it's like a Captain Marvel is a title.
Okay,
it's not a person because
which apparently Thor is now too, but we won't get into that.
Exactly, yeah, that's a whole.
She doesn't have
issue.
The bands, right? The like Cap Marvel had those
Marvel
power
had
bands, and he was a Kree guy.
He was.
She's what? What's her sort of origin of power?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up because I don't. Because I think she's like the second one.
Is she a mutant? Like this?
Maybe Inhuman.
Miss Marvel, right?
Miss Marvel's in Inhuman.
Okay.
She's
got the lightning bolt.
Yeah, she's the hero of Jersey City. Remember we were talking about? Yeah. I'm not kidding.
Oh dear.
And she's a very interesting character because she's a teenager, and she's Muslim.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very interesting thing.
That is.
Yeah, I mean. But yeah, I'm not sure about Carol Danvers. I don't know exactly where.
I'm looking up
where she came from.
Shazam here. Let's see.
Yeah, Shazam's been around forever.
Yeah, I just got the.
And it's always been it's still a little kid who says Shazam, and he becomes.
Yeah, and there for a while,
Dwayne Johnson or whatever.
DC had put they had changed it a bit to where it was, several kids.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the Marvel family.
Each one represented the strength of Solomon. The strength of Hercules, the intelligence of Solomon, all the letters.
Right, Achilles.
That was one for each of them. When Billy said Shazam, they all went, kind of like Firestorm. They went away, and Captain Marvel was there. He was Shazam.
Oh, so Wonder Twin Powers activated.
Basically, yeah. So,
okay, unlike the story, the movie Big, where he's an adult, he's a child with an adult body.
Yes.
As Shazam, he has adult agency.
Not just an adult's body, but a superhero.
Okay.
I mean, he is.
But he also has superhero agency. He's not a kid's viewpoint stuffed in a superhero body.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like Thor to where.
But will he do stupid kid things though? I guess so he does.
Yes.
Okay.
He and that's part
so
of
it is like Big in that sense.
Yeah, and that's part of the wonder of Captain Marvel because he's an 8-year-old Billy Batson who gets this power, and he's a lot of the time he's like cool. I mean, and that's part of the fun.
Okay.
Of Shazam is. At some points he just he stops and goes, I'm hanging out with the Justice League, but he's also thinking, I got to keep it cool.
Yeah,
we got to be all right.
Keep it cool.
Excuse me. There was a scene in 52 where Shazam says he's recently joined the Justice League, and he says that he thinks it's cool that Lex Luthor is running for president. And he's like that's kind of he's like that's a thing. Maybe things have progressed. Like that, you could tell his sentiment was pure. And then he walks into the JLA headquarters, and they're all sitting there, and they're like, "Billy, sit down." And Superman is like, "Okay, if you do that again, you're out."
Oh, he said it to reporters.
Yeah, he was being interviewed, and he made a statement, and and then you see it on the TV, and it's like a little television noise bubble comes out and says, and Shazam confirms today that the Justice League is supporting Lex Luthor for whatever.
No,
and Superman is like, you do that again, man, you're done.
We're gonna have to walk that back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And the important thing that I've learned out of the New 52, if you want to take this away, Superman's a douche.
Yeah, he's starting to get a little D-bag.
He's a jerk.
He really is. He's getting it's like he has no patience.
Yeah.
He's like, when people are like, "Hey, Superman, I want to tell you something," he's like, "I already know. I heard you say it." And it's like,
he's just a jerk. He's just a jerk. And the I don't know if you watch the animated movies,
like Justice League War.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
That whole thing just climbed all over me because they were all jerks. It was. I mean, Superman.
Is that a Bruce Timm thing?
No,
it wasn't.
It was not the run of animated stuff that they did when he was in charge was really, really good. This one came out last year or maybe the year before.
So it's a different group doing it now?
It's a different group, yeah. And it was supposed to be how the Justice League originally got together.
Okay.
And Wonder Woman essentially was just all gung-ho.
Okay.
And she had, she's somewhere and there's somebody selling ice cream. So she buys ice cream and she tastes it and she likes it. So she whips her sword out and she's like, "This is great." And she's,
by the power of
throwing this sword around, almost cutting people's heads off.
Oh, boy.
Because she likes ice cream.
Yeah, that's not what I
thought.
And
it didn't make any sense. And Superman's a jerk. Green Lantern's a jerk, and
I saw the Cuban Missile Crisis animated one where it was Martian Manhunter origin, and I think it was Martian Manhunter.
I don't remember which one that.
But it was set during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I think it was Cuban Missile Crisis, and Hal gets the ring, and it's much better than the actual live action movie, which was horrible.
Yeah. It's a whole other discussion.
Yes. But
it's another show.
This was based on a DC miniseries
Yeah.
but I don't remember the name of it or the.
But the whole thing with that.
But that was one of the last Bruce Timm.
It was
movies,
the Justice League War. The Cyborg and Shazam were in it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were the only. They were the two kids because Cyborg is like a 17-year-old kid.
Okay.
Billy is 8. They were more mature than the rest of the Justice League. They immediately saw each other and went, let's fight. So, like, they're Green Lanterns fighting Superman and they're fighting Batman. And the only voice of reason is Batman going, hey, let's knock this off. This is stupid. But they were just all jerks. And it's like the only two ones that are acting like adults are the kids. It's like, wow, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then in this movie again, he wasn't in control of himself, but Superman kills somebody again.
Oh,
like,
again.
You just can't stop killing people.
Who did he kill in this one?
He killed Desaad, I think it was. But he was. I'd have to watch it again. I don't remember. Somebody else was controlling though. He wasn't in control of himself. But still, I was like, DC, you just can't have him. You can't stop having him kill people.
I think that's great though. It's like I know you like lost your mind when Henry Cavill did that.
Yes, I did.
But I think that's great. I mean, it's like it shows. Don't look at me like that. I think it shows like a range, right? If Superman's always going to be goody two shoes and he's always going to do that, well, then that's all he's good for, and he's not really exciting. It's like he kind of stops there, and like, what else can you do with him?
Arguably, though, would the art not be making it make sense despite the limitation?
Exactly. That's the thing.
But I mean,
that's his limit because he realizes that he is so powerful that he can do whatever he wants.
Yes.
So the limit that he puts on himself is what gives you the art of being able to give something that allows you to give something that's going to threaten him, because he won't cross that line because of the values that were put into him by Ma and Pa Kent.
But I mean, you see him kill Zod, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Last Superman. Isn't that cool to sort of think about how he'd deal with it? Like what's he going to do next?
Yeah, but also that at the same time, he didn't show any. I mean, he showed about 15 seconds of remorse,
and then he's making out with.
And he's like, "Okay, we're cool." He just sat there and screamed.
If he had
Lois Lane
chugged the milk,
Lois Lane died in the '78 movie, and he flew off and spun the world back. Which let's not get into the ludicrous nature of that.
You don't think that could really happen? I think it could really happen.
But yeah, he showed. I mean, he snapped his neck, and I still say, okay, if he can snap his neck,
he could have gouged his eyes out.
He could have gouged his eyes out, or he could have just moved his head. If he's got enough control to snap his neck, he's got control of his head. So how can?
And he could have
you
flown
just
to
move
the moon.
And again, like I said, the problem I have with it last week. It was sloppy writing. It was taking an easy way out. If there was no way, then maybe. But I don't think it was to that point, and it wasn't. I mean, I'm not saying I would never want to see Superman just get to this point to go, you know what, this just has to happen. But there has to be more build-up, and there has to be
they didn't earn
more
it,
of a they didn't earn it.
Okay,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, you have to earn it. And one of the things that, in one of the animated, I don't remember, it may have been, no, it wasn't War. One of the animated movies, Superman's fighting Darkseid.
Right, I've heard
he
says you can take this.
He actually tells him, like, listen, my whole life, I've had to hold back for fear of hurting somebody. But you know what, big boy? You can take it. And so he's really just wailing, just beating the crap out of him.
Like enough force to put planets out of orbit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so that's the thing. He has to live his life being
restrained.
Yeah. And that's part of what I think is the allure of Superman. He's an all-powerful character. He could do whatever he wants, but he makes himself live by these rules, and that's part of the because he has to be a symbol. He's a symbol to people of what you can do. Even though he could,
he won't.
He won't. He could be in charge of the world.
Yeah,
but he's not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's part of the nature of Superman that I think he's a paragon of virtue.
Yeah.
And
it's in ironic times it's hard to make a character like that work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without having him,
Come
which is
white
basically
bread.
like the sniper shot. Breaking his neck was like in the movies where they take the sniper shot and
Yeah.
because you got no choice. This guy's got to go down.
Yeah.
And I think they have built themselves a unique arc with how he deals with this. If they address it, I hope they do. But like you say, they really didn't even address it in the movie much outside of him screaming.
What if they start off Dawn of Justice where Superman's a killer and they're like, well, we can't trust him. Yeah, he's a killer.
And I think that's what it's going to be. It's where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Is Batman going, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's true.
We can't trust this guy.
Right.
Yeah. And also, I mean, and this is more, me writing a movie in my own head than I should be, but similar to the motivation that they had for the Avengers and why S.H.I.E.L.D. was involved in a lot of alien tech is because, okay, we just had one of our cities destroyed by superhuman aliens running around.
Yeah.
How many of them are coming after you guys? We don't know.
It's an arms race.
We don't know that planet got blowed up, and if it did, are they on a bunch of arc ships coming our way? What's going on?
Yeah.
So you would definitely have a human society that would not only be distrustful of Superman, but would want to start getting into some seriously weird tech to defend the planet.
Yeah.
And and tech that may not be necessarily good to be messing with.
Yeah, and it's interesting to the stuff we've seen of the Batman versus Superman. It does take into account our society now, because there would immediately be people saying, "Whoa, wait a minute, he's not the false god thing that's written on the statue."
Mm-hmm.
And you have both sides of it. You've got people scrawling false god on his statue.
Meanwhile, they built a statue.
But they built a statue.
Yeah.
And at one point, you can see like what looks like shock troops, basically.
Yeah.
And they've got a Superman symbol on their arm. And he's walking amongst them, and they're like kneeling down. And it's like, so there's people going, all right, cool, let's follow him.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's other people over here screaming that wait a minute. So it is taking that into consideration, because that would definitely happen in our world that we live in now.
Yep.
Somebody would try to take it down. I mean, it's such a, and I mean, I get the whole sort of canon and that sort of thing. I just think it's interesting. I'd love to see them do something with it. I agree. If they drop the ball and they just sort of like, oh yeah, he killed him last movie and that's fine, and let's move on to Batman.
Yeah.
Then foul.
It's gonna be bad.
That's a foul, right?
Yeah.
I think then they
hopefully
they lost
not.
it.
I mean, I wasn't happy, and my friend Robin, huge Superman fan. He saw the movie once, hasn't seen it since. And basically the one where it's just ponderous. It's just heavy. It is.
Yeah, even if you take that one thing out of it, and it's no fun.
It just looks like an artsy-fartsy kind of.
And that's part of the issues. Like Superman, he has the whole thing of, on my planet this means hope. There's none in that movie. It's dark. It's dark. It's really dark.
Oh, this is something to look up on YouTube. I don't remember the person that did it, and I don't know if I told you about this or tweeted or texted it to you, but a color grading expert got clips of Man of Steel and readjusted the color back to what it actually looked like coming into the camera, and the suit's bright, and the palette is bright.
And it changes the whole feel of the movie.
Entire feel of the movie.
Yeah.
Because they basically ran it through that stupid digital intermediate process where they make everything look dingy.
Drab. Yeah.
And
yeah.
And I mean, you've got the digital tools to do that. Yay! But do you have to? Should you use them?
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to make this dark Superman, which we need. You know,
let Batman be dark.
Exactly.
Superman is a ray of hope.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's in the
and
arc.
If that is in the arc,
Yeah.
then they're
That
smarter than me. Obviously, they're smarter than me because they're making movies and I'm not. But you know, if that's the case, then I will say, yeah, you know what? I
Well
was
done.
wrong.
Well played, sir.
Well played.
All right, we're at like 2.5 hours, so I think we need to dial it
And
down
I
a
didn't
notch.
think I would have anything to talk about.
Exactly.
We
yeah.
can do this right up to HeroesCon. I
That's
think
true.
we should just,
We'll just keep
drop
going.
the headphones and
Okay.
just go and buy
We're just talking
My Little
now.
Ponies. Yeah.
But
Article 4 of the Constitution.
Yeah, we still need to talk about our video games. We ran out of time again on the video games.
They're a lot of fun to play, and you should play them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I've actually been on a nostalgia kick because I went back and
You're
bought Duke
16-bit
Nukem.
land, right?
Yeah, so I'm in heaven.
Well, if you're on a nostalgia trip, I got one thing for you. We'll make this the quick video game segment. Download Kung Fury. Kung Fury. Okay? Just trust me. It's 2 buttons, left and right.
Awesome.
But you got to time it right, and it's
could
the
play
ultimate fighting game you've ever played, and it's retro goodness. It's on Steam. It's like $3.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, I had to explain Mortal Kombat to my daughter the other night.
oh my lord!
I was like, it's
Did you go, Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
I did, yeah, actually.
You got to like run out
Yeah.
to the street and scream. And, you know.
Timmy D wins.
fatality.
Flawless victory.
Yeah, I had to explain. She was like, "What's Mortal Kombat?" I was like, "It's pretty much it changed fighting games when it first came out. I mean, it was huge."
Well, there's a series. DC puts out a series, which is written by a friend of mine, Sean Kittleson. I got to give him a shout out.
Cool.
He's and he worked on game of Batman Arkham City.
Okay.
I'm waiting to find out. I just messaged him because he said something about it, and I'm waiting to hear back. But yeah, if you look up any of the Mortal Kombat stuff that's out, Mortal Kombat X, yeah, he's the writer. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Cool. Well, all right. That's I think that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Ninja Troll Digicast. Remember, HeroesCon coming up. If we haven't mentioned it enough, HeroesCon's coming up this weekend. We're going to be there at table AA 404. It's in the Artist Alley. So come by and see us. Get some stickers. We'll make you a superhero, and you can find out who you are as a superhero. And HeroesCon is just going to be a whole lot of fun. We're going to be recording at least one show. We'll probably record one a day over there. So come by. If we're recording something, we'll hand you a mic. We might put you on the show. So,
I have one question, Tim.
what's that?
What's the table and what Earth is it in?
It is in Earth 619.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's 619. It's in San Diego.
Oh, very cool.
So that's going to do it for this episode of the Ninja Troll Digicast. I want to thank Professor Pixel, Mike Worth, and CJC, Chris Carpenter, for being here.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you at HeroesCon this weekend.
Awesome.
All right.